Welcome to the News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, #1 in the chat. It's your boy, Zeo Duke. Congratulations. Love this shit. Congratulations to Tim Hortons on his 60th anniversary. Tim Hortons, of course, famously died in a car crash while high on marijuana and beer. R.I.P. Folks, we're going to get right into it. We're covering Mexico, Ukraine, big chunk of Ukraine, and then Gaza, if we have time. Ukraine might soak up the rest of the day. Yeah, well, not when you're doing 90 in a sports car, something like that. I don't know the details of the actual crash. I mean, R.I.P. I'm not laughing at the man dying in a horrific car crash, but they never really mentioned that part. It's just one of those, like, it's like when you find out Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife and she committed suicide. It's like, oh my God, no, not Dr. Seuss. No. It's true. Wonder how long the new president lasts before the cartel are bored of them. Well, no, so that's the story here. So thank you so much for steering me back to the topic, Mexico. So, last stream yesterday, I think, we covered Mexico, and I was showing a still from a video, a gun, one frame later fires and murders the politician. 30 politicians, and I went to the Wikipedia and showed all the various assassinations this year, 30 of them. And this woman has the audacity to say, that she said something about how politics being safe or something like that in her speech. Hopefully we get a snippet. Maybe this is the one. I had to watch 3 or 4 of these news articles just to get anything that was slightly critical, that wasn't just gushing about her gender, which is great. It's historic. It's important. Okay. But even this DW piece that I found doesn't say the word cartel once. So I guess they're waiting, they're just going to let it settle for a day and then they'll get into picking her apart. But Reddit has wasted no time. There's actually a fascinating conversation, little bits and pieces of this that I'd like to read off for folks, because there's some pushback. There's a lot of people saying, okay, this person's a protege of the previous president, groomed and approved for this position by the previous president. Why should we not assume that this person is also going to be bringing along the cartel connections that Obrador had, which were deep? Lots of comments here in the Reddit talking about Obrador's mother visiting the mother of a major cartel boss. There's a lot of assuming that this is basically nothing is going to change. And honestly, her speech sounds pretty tone deaf and does not sound like a speech that's like, I'm going to go after the elephant in the room. I'm going to go after the cartels. The snippets of the speech that I heard did not really address that. And honestly, I'm talking about the speech so much, I really should just play it now that I'm talking about it. Russia friendly, Obrador was, yeah, that's not good news. Really, at that point, that just shows a failure of U.S. foreign policy if the U.S. can't even stay friendly with Mexico. It's one of its closest neighbors. Speech highlights. Yeah, so it's her victory speech. Mexican president, poised to come. Or we get a little bit of her speech. Yeah, not really, just kind of chunks. First, that's what I'm talking about. Look at this. I mean, look at the fucking NBC thumbnail. Tone it down, NBC. What the? This. I'm sorry. Are we rubes? Are we stupid? Because I love women. I think women deserve rights, equity, and equality. But do women automatically mean they're uncorruptible or incapable of war crimes or incapable of being Because if this person was a man, it wouldn't be all hearts. It'd be like, the Mexican regime that has stalled and failed for the last how many decades, passed on, handed over to this groomed candidate. Like, it wouldn't be this, because I get it. It's, but this is day one. This is day one. People are taking their victory laps. Okay. All right. But we got to get critical about her ASAP. We have to get critical about this woman ASAP, because there doesn't seem to be any desire to change course here. And last time I checked, the cartel situation in Mexico is a crisis. So I think the speech segments that I heard were from this Al Jazeera. Yeah, right here. We're from this Al Jazeera piece. So let's skip the journalist parts. Yeah, okay, no, okay. That it starts right off with her speech. The segments of the speech that I heard, and then they get into this interview with this woman. And I listened to this whole thing. Even Al Jazeera doesn't say the word cartel once. Barely really even mentions that she's was groomed and selected by the previous president and is like, fully in line, like, you know what I mean? It's really quite amazing. But I get it. It's a big focus on the historic nature of her gender. I get it. But man, I gotta say, it's a little shocking to see this happen. How someone, it's like, okay, maybe it's a good thing though, because eventually we're all going to realize that women can be just as, like, do we really need a woman Hitler to prove that? You know what I mean? Like, do we need to go that far to prove that, I mean, that's really, that's true equality. This brutal woman dictator. We really, when you think about it, you can really only picture a man, but a woman is totally capable of such things. We've already seen it at a smaller scale at a country level. Women despots, women dictators. A woman could never become Hitler. Don't be sexist. Come on. Some people would say that unironically. It's like, no, I believe in equality. I do. I mean, it's like, no, I think women can be just as corrupt and horrible and lie and cheat and steal and, but the person, I'll show you the Reddit comments here, because the person does make a point that, is there any proof to what you're saying? And it's like, well, except for the fact that she's fully connected and supported by the previous regime, was groomed by the previous regime and installed, basically. I mean, there was an election, so I shouldn't say installed, but okay. I mean, but no, that's really all we have so far, I guess. There's some other things here and there from what I was reading, but no big red flags, right? But that doesn't mean jack shit.
We begin this news hour in Mexico, which has just elected its first female president. Claudia Sheinbaum is projected to win the poll by a landslide. She's a former climate scientist and mayor of Mexico City. She's set to succeed her political mentor, the outgoing president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador.
Por primera vez.
I'm grateful because for the first time in the 200 years of our republic, I will be Mexico's first female president.
That's a big deal.
And as I've said before, I didn't arrive here on my own. All of us women came with me, with our heroines, our ancestors, our mothers, daughters, and granddaughters. I congratulate all Mexicans because today we showed that our country is a democratic one with peaceful elections.
So that's the comment that I was shocked by. You're either delusional, you think we're stupid, or aspirational, I guess. You could, if you want to be positive, like this is the future she wants to see. That I didn't really hear that through the rhetoric. Maybe it's a mistranslation. Maybe I'm not getting it because it's a translation. It was actually historically the most violent election. 30 candidates murdered, kidnapped in horrific ways. Blocked off on the freeway, car filled with bullets. the still from the video that I showed, literally just someone walking up with a pistol, bopping you straight in the back of the head, dude. You're like shaking hands and smiling, and then lights out, Tony Soprano style, dude. Horrific shit. It's kind of, I don't know, a little insulting, quite frankly. To say safely, that's a very specific word. It was historically violent.
Because today we showed that our country is a democratic one with peaceful elections.
Right? That's really flipping weird to me. So there was that segment that I was talking about. So you don't have to hear me bloviate on that any longer. And let's just get this. Yeah, we're gonna get to Alex Jones next, but let's get this DW clip out of the way because it's the one that gives us the most information. That at least has some other information outside of the fact that she is a woman.
Mexico has elected its first female president by a landslide, according to official preliminary results. Claudia Sheinbaum, a former mayor of Mexico City, looks set to win a double-digit victory over her nearest rival. This is Mexico's largest general election in history. The elections have been marred by violence involving drug cartels, with at least 37 candidates murdered.
I'm incorrect. Okay. This one does say cartels. Okay.
During the campaign, involving drug cartels, with at least 37 candidates murdered during the campaign. In her victory speech, Sheinbaum thanked her supporters.
I am also grateful that I will become Mexico's first woman president in 200 years since the founding of the Republic.
And earlier we talked to DW correspondent Nicole Reese in Mexico City. She told us what Sheinbaum, who is now declared president-elect, stands for politically.
Claudia Sheinbaum stands for at least two things. On the one hand, there is continuity. She's the direct protege of outgoing President López Obrador, who has been sort of playing the queen-maker in these past.
And quite frankly, I was shocked to hear this as well, that his policies are popular. I'm speechless.
Few months to get people behind her, and if she be to win, she would probably follow his footsteps and continue his parties and her party's politics and strategy. And this is also something many Mexicans I talked to this week would actually welcome, because for them it means economic stability and also social stability. López Obrador, the outgoing president, is somehow a divisive figure, but he also managed to boost social reforms and welfare programs, and that's something that's sticking with people, and that's what they hope to get out of Sheinbaum.
So, wow, you can have a full-blown cartel mafia crisis. I mean, look, I don't want to get into the gruesome details, but just use your imagination. Picture the worst thing you could do to a child in front of their parents. All right? Just fill in the blank. And they've probably done it. I'm talking some of the most monsters. Real scary individuals. And they're not, I'm not afraid to say that because they're not afraid to let you know that. Don't fuck with the cartel. Unless you're coming correct. I'm not coming correct. I'm not fucking with y'all. I'm just pointing out you do some pretty heinous shit. But you want people to know that because you want people to be afraid of you. Congratulations.
Sheinbaum, of course. And then on the other hand, she stands for change because she is a woman, and that is something Mexico has never had before.
How significant?
Sorry, the point that I was trying to make is that you can have a full-blown mafia crime crisis, but if you have some socialist reforms, I got lost in a train of thought. Sorry, but if you implement some socialist reforms, I guess it's all good. How is the crisis, the cartel crisis, not pinned right on Obrador, and how like are these elections rigged? You know what I mean? Like how does that not make you incredibly unpopular? Some of the shit that's happening.
Will that be if Mexico gets a woman president?
This is huge. It is historic. It ends centuries of male domination in the highest political office of the country.
Yeah. So the one positive thing I want to say about the whole gender thing is that, you know, and I don't know if this is sexist to think this, but in my experience, women tend to be less overtly violent, and more understanding and caring in general. Even in the conservative, right? We see abortion being a big issue. Of course, it affects them directly, but you know, there seems to be limits that conservative women are not willing to. Some conservative women are not willing to go to. But I don't know. Maybe it's like I said, sexist to view women as, you know, inherently maternal or inherently caring or empathetic. But I do. I mean, you know, I've never gotten into a fist fight with a woman. You know what I mean? Um, I've never had to. It's never come up. Women have been, you know, there's women in my life that have been incredibly mean to me and all, you know, and all kinds of things, I guess, but never had the same, you kicked them. No, I never. But no, it's just, welcome back, Crail. I don't know. Is it sexist to feel like, because this could maybe be a criticism of MSNBC and a lot of, you know, because you see a lot of the female hosts on MSNBC saying, yeah, that's right, just kind of like assuming things are going to get better because now there's a woman's POV on it. And it's like, I don't necessarily disagree, because I do think, you know, even though there's equity and equality, women do have an inherently different point of view, being a different gender from the same species. I do think that there's a different point of view from a woman, you know, from a woman, no matter how corrupted or, you know, political they are. Right? Is that sexist to think that? I don't think so. I think that's keeping it real. Right? Just saying that no, women have an inherently different POV because of their gender. You know, especially, and then you put in the patriarchal society, especially in Mexico, which is apparently incredibly chauvinistic. So, yeah, I think that's, you know, that's my Libby lefty feminist POV on that. That's the part, Libby leftist feminist part of me. That's what that part of me wants to say. I think that, you know, there's a chance that with her female POV that we might see some improvement, but quite honestly, do we picture this woman doing a El Salvador and, you know, going, you know, waging a war against the cartel, like legitimately, and not, you know, colluding with them in any way? From the left, though, with the, you know, because I've talked about that, like how could the left achieve success with this, like El Salvador did with its brutal police state dragnet, arresting anybody even remotely associated with what was it, MS-13? Is that the one out there? Right? How could do we think? And I'm not saying a woman, like I've said before, I don't think a woman, what, she doesn't have the balls, she doesn't have the cojones. I don't know. It just seems like you're not gonna talk your way out of the cartel situation. Am I wrong? The cartels aren't. You're not going to negotiate with. You know, you could cut them off logistically. You know, the legalizing drugs and cutting off their avenues of making money. But these motherfuckers are ride or die, and they're gonna ride this out until death. It's not a IRA like with the Irish. You know, the Irish revolutionaries, right? It's not a situation like the IRA where, you know, there's some kind of light at the end of the tunnel with some kind of negotiations. You're not politically negotiating with the cartels, right? Oh, happy Pride Month indeed. I really should. I need to get I think I have a rainbow flag. I need to get that up. Let me do that while we watch the rest of this.
for many women here in Mexico, this is obviously also something that makes them hope that things could change in their country, that makes them proud, that shows them that there is actually a possibility for them to have a say in how the country is developing and how it's going forward, because we are looking at a country where around 10 women per day are being killed, are being murdered. We are looking at a country with a very high crime rate. This is a gender-based violence that we're talking about. It's actually also called the silent epidemic here in Mexico, and that is something that obviously with female leaders many hope will somehow change. We just don't know if it actually would change, because as I said earlier, Sheinbaum will also follow in the footsteps of her party, of the outgoing government as well, and the outgoing government hasn't been able to manage this matter very well. If not, we would be talking about much less victims.
So this is the most critical one I could find. I watched like 4 videos on this, and this is the most critical one I could find.
Of violence or of killings here.
The lead up to this election was overshadowed by violence and killings. Have any solutions been offered by the people in the fray in the elections?
Well, both main candidates, Claudia Sheinbaum and also Xochitl Galvez, have pledged that they will obviously do something about it. Claudia Sheinbaum says that she wants to strengthen institutions.
Yeah, indeed. But I mean, I keep thinking of Hillary Clinton, who was a proud warmonger. And there's a couple other examples, Aung San Suu Kyi, being another one, who was like, yeah, human rights, it's rather inconvenient, just like any other politician. I mean, isn't Catherine the Great another great example? We want to go to Russia over there, something like that. I think I find it inherently sexist to assume that women are somehow going to be better leaders just inherently because they're women. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm on the fence. I don't know. Maybe I need a talking to.
Also justice institutions. The question here, though, is how easy will that really be? Because organized crime has been growing massively in these past years, and it's infiltrating all layers of Mexican society and as well the political landscape, and it shapes it and influences it as well. So many people know that there is a huge infiltration, and it's difficult to actually get a grip on this part of the problem. So at the moment we know the words, but we don't know if the actions will actually matter once the next president is in office, which will be in a few months.
DW's Nicole Reese in Mexico City.
Hey, and big props to Nicole Reese here. This is easily the most nuanced one of the 4 that I watched, 3 or 4 that I watched. The rest of them were just like, just kind of like leaving this wide open. It's a historic thing. It's historic. And just kind of like, okay, let's not talk about the politics today. Like, let's give the politics a rest today and just, celebrate the victory. And it's like, I don't think women want this. I don't think women want to be, have these people that are like, sitting there for the first time. Because it's like, you don't want to have these people that are sitting there for the first time being, just as corrupt as anyone else, and the only difference really is their gender. That's a bad look, right? Also, did you hear the SA got an election done recently? No, I did not. Did not hear that. I'll be doing a UK segment next stream. I have a bunch of videos queued up for next stream. On the UK. Okay, folks. So real quick, this Reddit stuff here. Nothing will change. We'll see if we have breakfast with some crime lord's mom in no time. So, just referencing that, story I was telling you about. But this person right here, really going pretty deep, replying to anybody who's, at the top here at least, anybody being cynical. But he makes kind of a good point. In that, you keep parroting this point. Has any evidence been found to support these claims? The person saying, parroting what? That she's going to continue his legacy or the cartel connection? Because he handpicked her to be president, and we see she will be. We have a photo evidence of AMLO having a meal and walking with El Chapo's mom. So he has cartel connection, and his policies have allowed them to flourish. So, right, so that's basically what we have, is that... because, like, if Donald Trump handpicked a candidate, would, you know, that was a woman, would we be like, oh, it's all good? You know, it's all good. You know what I mean? Like, no, hell no. Even though she's squeaky clean, hasn't said a fucking thing other than women are good. But Donald Trump, out of the blue, hey, I like her. I like the cut of a jib. She looks great. Hey, ain't they right? I pick her. She's the new king. Out of the blue. The only thing, you know, and she's going to be in charge in 3 months, but the only thing she's saying is like, historic women. You're like, yeah, but a monster picked you. Is there a reason? No, I'm squeaky clean. Everything's going to be great. That monster just picked me. Because I'm so good, man. I'm that good. I'm Mr. Rumble. So then he goes, you know, just too long didn't read, bro. Yeah, come on. The parroting allegations. So I'll read a little bit out of respect. Parroting allegations of cartel connections. When have they found evidence that the cartel fund Miranda? So he's like, so this guy seems like a partisan for Obrador. I can never say his name correctly. So yeah, this guy seems to be just pushing back on all the stuff. So I mean, you know, and it's like, I don't know enough about this to feel 100% that this guy is wrong. There's probably a lot of truth here, but I do feel like there's a partisan bent here. But too long didn't read, so that's kind of my fault. If you want to read the thing, it's right here, and you can tell me what you think if you want more time to read it. Uh-oh, hold on. Uh-oh. My restream chat screwed up. Hold on. Oh my god, hold on. Oh, the stupid Google thing. Making me like select pictures. But then it takes ages to load in new pictures. Could you be any more aggravating? Okay, hold on. Let me try this one more time. Let me do this correctly. Come on. There we go. Come on, Daddy. Yeah, okay, bicycles. I'm clicking on bicycles now. I'm sorry, I'm trying to log in and see the chat. I can't see the chat right now. Clicking on bicycles. You know what you're doing? You're training Google's fucking, self-driving AI algorithm so it can identify objects on the road. And they still haven't figured that shit out. Okay, I'm logged back in. Okay, I can see it again. Last time I visited the stream, Ukraine was winning and doing everything right, making counter-offensive in the name of democracy. Is anything changed during this time? No, Mr. Rumbles, everything is great. And I don't really agree with your framing that Ukraine was winning and doing everything right. I find that to be dishonest framing, quite frankly. But I'll go ahead and give it to you. I will say that I did think that the support was going to continue, that Joe Biden was going to be a leader, that the international coalition, the Western coalition that was supporting Ukraine, wasn't going to slip and fall on its dick and fail to back up Ukraine at a critical moment, giving Russia just enough time to create countermeasures and build up enough forces and open up a new front on the north. So I will say I was not expecting that. That's fair. Hey, Carl Toes, thank you for redirecting us back. But we're done with Mexico. Unfortunately, we'll get back to it. I'll be following up for sure. But Alex Jones, everyone's favorite gay frog lover, he's been going through it, folks. And let me tell you something. I'm here for it. I'm Casey Kasem. No. If you don't know what the fuck's going on, let me give you a little sample and then explain to you what the hell's going on here.
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children.
Yeah, Mr. Rumbles, you're still a defeatist. You're still wrong. I don't. Right now, Ukraine is actually pushing back really successfully. This idea that Russia is bowling over Ukraine. No, I still agree. I still disagree with you, Mr. Rumbles. Ukraine's still in this fight. I'm not ready to give up in the name of peace. Right? I love how people like you weaponize peace to defend Putin's invasion. Oh, we just got to give him a little bit more of Ukraine. If we just give him a little bit more, he'll stop being mean and we'll go away. I love peace. Peace is not letting dictators get what they want, buddy. And quite frankly, that also means with the United States military-industrial complex when it comes to adventures like in Iraq and Afghanistan. Where was the Western coalition pushing back on that? Took them like 15 years. But no, Mr. Rumbles, you're fucking wrong. Now's not the time to give it up to Pooty Poot. Now's the time to push back and really pour it on, and that's exactly what Ukraine is doing, finally. So now is absolutely nothing. This idea, once again, this idea that Russia is, they're resurgent and they're bowling over. They're barely holding on to their new northern front. Barely. Oh, Mr. Rumble, you're such a fucking bastard. You're so dishonest. Oh, I'm above it all. I don't believe land is worth more than human lives. Meanwhile, ignoring the geopolitical reality of letting Putin know that I can steal pieces of Georgia. I can steal pieces of Ukraine. I'll be rewarded with that, with enough time to build up my forces to take the next chunk. You're a defeatist, and you're also not very clever. Because you're obviously doing this for the benefit of Russia, and you're pretending to be pro-peace while supporting a fucking brutal dictator's political ambitions. So fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Back to Alex Jones.
At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight.
Oh.
These people hate our children. At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard.
I'm not the one fighting, Rumble. The Ukrainians are the ones putting up the fight, and they agree with it. There was a poll done in Ukraine. Do you think now's the right time for elections? Majority of people said no. Now's the time to fight. You're so fucking slimy. You're so fucking slimy.
Hard fight.
Yeah.
These people hate our children.
So I really love how Alex Jones is weaponizing children. Yeah, Leon, I'm done paying attention to it. He's taking a victory lap because Russia's dumping unbelievable amount of resources and soldiers into a failed offensive that's already, like, Ukraine's already on the offensive. I have an article queued up in the Ukraine section where minutes after getting the approval to attack Russia with U.S. weapons, they sent salvos over, taking out a bunch of different targets. Oh, we got to give up. Oh, no, we got to give up, guys. Oh, no. Well, watch out. I care so much about people. That's why I think Bucha should be rewarded with territory. I mean, we got to reward brutality. Anyway, officially ignoring that until we get to the Ukraine section. Alex Jones, let's talk about him. Yeah, Mr. Rumble, you can suck my dick. One of the most disgusting things I've seen from this Ukraine-Russia scenario situation are the people like Mr. Rumble who pretend to stand above it all and dare to use peace as some justification for bowing down to authoritarians and dictators. Defeatism, it is the height of defeatism, and it's absolutely slimy and disgusting that you would claim to give a shit about peace while letting Ukraine getting literally conquered. Like it's a fucking 18th century. Rolling in with your goddamn tanks and military and brutality, blowing up apartment complexes and kindergartens. And that gets rewarded. Brutality should get rewarded. Mercilessness should be rewarded. There's no honor in fighting back against that, says you bastard. You're so fucking wrong, I can't even fucking stand it. You talk about peace. It's capitulation. It's not peace. It's a break in the fighting while he builds up his forces to take Kyiv, you idiot. Any geopolitical analyst that I've shown worth their fucking salt that knows what the fuck they're talking about, and I've shown probably dozens at this point, says that it's very, very likely that if Russia is rewarded with the Donbas and rewarded with Crimea and Kherson, that they will just bide their time to take another chunk. And they've done it. There's examples already. We're seeing their attempts in Georgia. We're seeing their attempts in Moldova, Belarusia. Never say that correctly. Yeah, there'll be peace. Yeah, there'll be peace after your dictator conquers Ukraine, you bastard. You are the definition. You wear a little peace badge while giving hand jobs to dictators, you fucking bastard. I'm done. Alex Jones, let's make fun of him one more time. They aren't going to conquer Ukraine. They only literally went for Kyiv. Okay, yeah, no, you know what? I need to give you guys a 30-minute timeout because I need to talk about this other stuff before we get to it. So come on back in 30 minutes to have this argument, okay? I honestly don't have time. Get back to it. I don't have time to argue with defeatists right now. We're talking about this pissy pants son of a bitch who's losing his empire right in front of us. Then he pulls out the "you're mad, bro" bullshit. This guy's an obvious troll. Fuck you, bitch.
At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people. Now I try to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children. At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people. Now I try to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children.
So I find it really interesting that that Alex Jones continues to use children as his excuse for this grifting for a fascistic authoritarian Donald Trump. He keeps hiding behind children. So if you don't know what the hell's going on with Alex, what he's actually crying about, Sandy Hook families asked Baker Sue Judge to liquidate Alex Jones' media company. So he's either using this news as a fundraiser, and he's like, he's really going in with the histrionics and theatrics to bring the money in, or there's a really good chance that this is going to work. And there's a really good chance that he's going to lose his empire. Now, in my opinion, I'm not an expert. We talked about this during the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that his crying wasn't fake. And you can be a horrible person and you can still have the emotions overwhelm you and still legitimately cry, even though you're dead, you're dead ass guilty, right? You tell me one more time. It seems like a legitimate crack. It seems like a legitimate. It doesn't seem like the normal theatrics. Seth Rogen. He's my favorite. He's my favorite cousin. All right, so let me just turn off the music real quick so you can get a really clear listen here.
At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people.
Yeah. That seems like real whimpering. That's the kind of whimpering you get when you... never mind, I probably shouldn't. What does the children have to do with this? Yeah, I mean, exactly. He's saying, the entire justification for all of this, really, from his perspective, is the gay agenda, basically, that, us Libby lefties want to, turn their children gay, want to, convert society into, a deviant, a gay utopia where everyone's like grooming children. Ironically, of course, it's his side that's most likely to be grooming children. It's his side that's likely to be legalizing child marriage and legalizing child labor. But it's if you don't really understand the meta of it, maybe you would see this as a sincere worry about children, but it's not. It's not. I am confident that Alex Jones understands that there's not some, that gay people aren't spreading like an infection, and that there are, millions of teachers across America teaching children to be gay and all this stuff. But that's what he's talking about. He's talking about, they drink your children's blood and all this stuff. And he's talking about only the lefties, I guess, do this. He used to talk about George Bush critically. It was really interesting to hear him talk critically because George Bush's connections to Skull and Bones, and he had the Bohemian Grove shit, right? So he kind of made his fame, kind of like criticizing this. So if you've been observing Alex Jones for some time, it's actually quite strange that he's an empire. He's like a dictator bootlicker now, because he used to be quite critical against characters like. I'm sorry. He was just making a joke. I'll let him back in. I thought he was making fun of me. I'm sorry. I'm sensitive right now. I am triggered. I'm sorry. You can come back. I'm sorry. You were doing more Seth Rogen jokes. I'm sorry. Hutchin, you wanted me to do more Seth Rogen stuff. I've been derailed so much. I'm like triggered right now. Relatives of victims of the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting are asking a Bakersfield judge to liquidate conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' media company, including InfoWars, instead of allowing him to reorganize his business as they seek to collect on $1.5 billion in lawsuit verdicts against him. I'm not trying to hurt. I know. It's not your fault. I take it back. I'm sorry, Chad. Oh, thanks for the flag in the corner. Feel welcome. Of course, Lizzie. Gay rights is human rights. Okay, Chess, you're taking it too far. I love using the big gay to it's about far right wing take. But yeah, so he's been trying to collect this money, which is 1.5 bill, dude. It's so funny, I mean, he's done $1.5 billion worth of bootlicking for the oligarchy, for the conservative, leaning oligarchy. Can I be mod? Yeah, we'll mod you right away, bud. Lawyers for the families filed an emergency motion Sunday in U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Houston saying free speech systems, just so Orwellian, has no prospect of getting a reorganization plan approved by the court and has, quote, failed to demonstrate any hope of beginning to satisfy their legal claims, which relate to Jones calling the 2012 school shooting a hoax. Sandy Hook, of course. I encourage you to type in Sandy Hook police report and have a read for yourself on what the second by second moments of Sandy Hook was, just so you can understand the depth of slime, that this man would need to lower himself to insinuate that this was somehow fake. Yeah, oh yeah, Ponder Monkey, absolutely. Have you ever listened to The Voice? Mails his followers left the parents. I mean, yeah, Ford Perfect. I believe we've streamed some of them. I believe there was a news package I showed where it went through a couple of them. Just some of the absolute worst. I mean, you're at the lowest of the low. Your precious child murdered, and then these wackadoodles who are inspired by this grifter call you up and leave some of the most heinous voicemails you've ever heard in your life. He deserves, look, a 1.5 billion. I don't know if he deserves that amount. I don't care what he does. He deserves the complete destruction of his little disgusting lie factory called InfoWars, free speech systems. The whole kit and caboodle needs to go. There's nothing honest. There's nothing journalistic about this. It's a smear factory. It's a lie factory. It's an embarrassment. And look, I do agree that being all those things shouldn't necessarily disqualify you from doing ridiculous media. It's where it's the stochastic terrorism, right? There are limits to free speech. you can't encourage millions of people to harass. And it's like, and it's like, that's where it's stochastic, because he never said, call up these people and harass them directly. Call them up and leave horrific voicemails. He never said that. But he rimmed it. He edged it. People got to the point. The very expensive perennial wipe from the LWT episode. Oh my God. Do I like Kanye? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think here's the problem with Kanye, though. I think Kanye is mentally ill, and he's being, his money and his fame is enabling his mental illness to go uncontrolled and unchecked. And, on top of his disgusting politics and his comments about Hitler and slavery and all that, I think, honestly, the big problem with Kanye West is that, the people around him are enabling really unhealthy mental illness. Yes, rimmed it, edged it, and really doing pride theming his content. You know it, baby. He edged the topic, right? But everyone got the point. Wasn't mentally ill. Jesus. All right, so there you go. That's the Alex Jones segment. Moving on to Ukraine now, so our bad actors are welcome back, and we can continue with this. This terrible debate that, now's the time for Ukraine to give up. It's absolutely absurd right now to be saying that. Oh, yeah. He's like, last time we talked, you said everything was great. Ukraine was winning and then nothing wrong was going to happen. Yeah, that's probably exactly what I said, huh? That sounds a lot like me. I can't talk about a fucking single topic without injecting a bunch of fucking nuance and different, takes and different opinions and trying to balance them and understand them all. Bog the whole fucking show down doing that. No, I never do that. I use mass generalizations at all times. Everything's going to be great with Ukraine. We're winning and kicking butt. That's a quote. Alex Jones licking his wounds. I mean, it seems like legitimate tears. And that tells me that his lawyers were saying, yo, this is legitimate. So real quick, I had a little piece of good news here that I think I wanted to. Oh yeah, no, we're going to talk about that after Ukraine, just to kind of as a palate cleanser, that good news. Good to hear we fixed all that. Yeah, that sounds exactly like something I would say, right? That sounds, yeah, that's me all over. So, and the propagandists were in our chat. Give up. Shouldn't you give up? Don't you care about peace? What about nuclear war? Oh, be afraid. And Russia over here, that's the exact message Russia wants to be spread. It's just a coincidence. It made sense to talk about. Welcome back, Davey, Tisreal. Welcome back, everybody, all you lurkers as well. We're going to talk about Ukraine negotiated peace if the U.S. continue to not pass military. Yes. Yeah, Davey, that's 100% correct. But Ukraine's plenty of ammunition. No, exactly. And I said that myself. I was like, look, if Mike Johnson wins and, the aid stops, then yeah, Zelensky's going to have no choice because it's just going to be bigger and bigger defeats as the resources dwindle. Yeah, exactly, Tisreal. Yeah, no, we get it. This is the News Underground, Chess. This isn't the fuck around all day then play video games Hassan fanboy club. This is real motherfucking news. This is the News Underground. So when bad actors get into my fucking chat and start talking some crazy shit about their pro-peace, that's why we got to capitulate to dictators, I get pissed. Russia warns U.S. against fatal miscalculation in Ukraine. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rabyakov said on Monday the United States could face fatal consequences if it ignored Moscow's warnings to not let Ukraine use weapons provided by Washington to strike inside of Russia. What you gonna do, Russia? What you gonna do? Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna nuke you. We're gonna do it. We're gonna nuke you. We're gonna nuke you. Do it. Do it. This idea that these goofballs get to drop a fucking nuke in a vacuum, and then we're all like, whoa, oh shit, okay, whoa, I didn't know, like someone throwing a punch at a frat boy party, right? It gets real, and all the tough guys dissolve into fucking, the ether, right? That's what Russia that's what Russia wants us to think is going to happen, I guess. That's what Russia wants us to think is going to happen. That they drop a nuke, and that the rest of the fucking world community is going to be intimidated, and not respond. We've seen discussions in war games about non-nuclear responses that would wipe out big chunks of Russian Air Force. But really what would happen, the retaliation would be within Ukraine. That's what would happen. Russia would drop a nuke wherever, Kyiv, right? Drop it right there, try to kill Zelensky. And NATO and the United States and UK, France, Germany, Australia would kick in Air Force, at the very least Air Force. The response would be insane. The response would be insane. And it would result directly in a matter of weeks, result directly in Russia losing Crimea and losing the rest of the war in Ukraine. You don't think Russia knows that? You don't think the Russian military thinks, oh, yeah, we're going to, like their propagandists say, we're going to drop a bomb, we're going to drop a nuke, and then, we're all, like I said, back off like tough guys at a frat boy party now that it got real? I don't think so. It would force Joe Biden to be a leader, is what it would do. So that's why I said, just do it, you fucking assholes. You keep threatening it. And I know that's easy for me to say, right? Because the nuke isn't going to be dropping in Canada. But if you want to lose, if Ukraine wants quadruple the amount of support immediately, this would do it. This would be dropping a nuke would be the catalyst for Russia's defeat in Ukraine. I mean, they would have to drop 6, 7 of them in succession to do any real frontline damage. And the Ukrainians that are fighting are well aware of these threats, by the way. And they're not cowed by them. Yeah, successfully dropped 6. So I get it. We're talking about real shit. We're talking about really nasty shit. But here's the calculation. Do we allow characters like Russia to swing their big dick, nuclear dick around and get what they want? Do we want that to be the future of that area for the next, 50 years, 60, who knows how long? Do we want China to look at that strategy and say, wow, well, look at that. Russia found the fucking magic hack. Democracy is too afraid of nuclear weapons, and you can threaten them to get what you want. Are we really going to sit here and pretend that China wouldn't start talking about nukes in Taiwan if this strategy worked for Russia? So look, I know it's serious, and I know I'm being flippant, talking about, well, do it. But it's absurd to think that Russia gets to do this in isolation, and that Joe Biden is as shitty of a leader as he is, as unwilling, right? Because he gave permission for Ukraine to attack Russia, but not with attackums. Oh, there's still limitations. There's still limits. Still worried about escalation. Still refusing to be a leader on this one. George Bush was a fucking leader when it came to fucking up the Middle East. He rode that missile all the way down to the motherfucking Fallujah, man. Yeehaw! Yeehaw! It was a bad idea. It didn't work. But he was a leader. But fuck George Bush. Yeah, I can do that pretty well. But you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I got a mission, I got a plan, I got a problem. So yeah, fatal consequences, yada, yada, yada. I'd like to warn American leaders against miscalculations that could have fatal consequences for unknown reasons. They underestimate the seriousness of the rebuff that they may receive. I'm pissing in my fucking pants. Give the West a reason, Russian military. There's a reason why they haven't. What is there to escalate more? Chemical weapons and nuclear weapons. Carl Toes. There's also some thermobarics I don't think that have been used. Some really, really nasty ones like mile-wide radiuses and stuff like that. There's conventional ways to escalate as well. There's fucking intercontinental fucking missiles. Oh God, here we go. Thanks for the clip. Make sure you share these clips around. I will be. I do have an editor, so I will. Maybe I'll have my editor take a look at some of these really juicy clips and pull out some good ones. Thank you so much, Ford. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked those building downs will hear all of us soon. George Bush. And then he did it. It was wrong. He was totally incorrect. He went in there for all the wrong reasons, right? But he said, Joe Biden was like, oh, Putin's not going to do anything to me. Putin, we're so strong against Putin. We're a united coalition against Putin. And then he fucking falters and fails and lets characters like Mike Johnson and the rest of the fucking Republican Party, prevent aid going over there for 6 fucking months. That shit didn't happen in the Bush administration, did it? I'm not saying he's a good guy and he achieved good things, George Bush. I'm just saying when are the neoliberals gonna fucking stop with this? Never, dude, never. I don't know. Would Bernie Sanders, though, really be decisive? Would, you know what I mean? Really pour it on? That's what's needed right now. We need a fucking Churchill-esque attitude with Russia and Ukraine. We don't need Churchill's politics, but we need Churchill's attitude when it comes to, not putting up with tyrants and authoritarians. Not one more step. How long before we have to have our head in the lion's mouth, right? Kind of stuff. So it's like I don't think Bernie, I don't know. But not Churchill's politics, okay? Churchill's politics were abysmal when it comes to democracy. What kind of name is Mike Johnson anyway? So just wanted to point this out. This is a screenshot from a thumbnail. I typed in Ukraine into YouTube, and this was literally the first result. So I don't know how this is happening. But it disgusted me. I used to have so much respect for Richard Wolff. And look, maybe his economic theories are totally spot on. I don't know, man. But how can you, look and look, this is an hour-long interview. So now I probably have to listen to the whole thing, because I'm going to talk shit about him without watching it. But Russia threatens nukes. Russian media threatens nukes. Russian politicians, ex and currently in office, threaten nukes. And U.S. escalates nuclear risk. I assume by helping Ukraine defend itself. Welcome back, Ice King. Right? The U.S. is escalating by not allowing Russia to roll over Ukraine and just take it. Gabriel's a beautiful name. The children suck sometimes. You know what I mean? Because Gabriel is such a beautiful name. But no, look at this. Look at this little screenshot. Like I said, I typed in Ukraine into YouTube. You try it out. See if your algorithm does the same thing. I used to watch a lot of Richard Wolff, so maybe that's why it popped up. I used to stream him. I used to show a lot of his clips. I really felt like he was, really great on the economy, but, it just... Look, and I get it. Maybe this is clickbait. Like I said, maybe it's taking him out of context. And now I need to watch the whole thing. But fuck, man, I feel like I'm in La La Land. You know, some violent asshole has his cronies out here. Oh, well, you don't want to fuck with us, we might nuke you. You don't want to fuck with us, we might nuke you. And we're supposed to fucking bend the knee to that shit? That's supposed to be peaceful? That's supposed to be communist, by the way? That's supposed to be Marxist? Richard Wolff? Letting tyrants roll over you? I got AI generated image of crying Putin. No, I didn't get this vid, so it's probably me. Yeah. Okay, so we got some different algos. What do we got here? I got this video, and I got this video. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's just me then. The right wingers have found a way to like literally bully me in my algo, dude. They're trolling me in my algo. No, I get it. I stick my neck out. I try to find, you know, I get like I'll be looking up Fox News just as much as MSNBC half the time. So my algorithm's probably completely fucking confused, right? Do you want Jordan Peterson or do you want Kyle Kulinski? Which one do you want? I don't want either of them. Fuck you. Oh, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. The algorithm's probably quite confused. We should just end the war. Let Russia win. Yeah, the war will be over. It's that simple. Exactly, Gaius. It's offensive. It's a fucking offensive. By defending an entire country, well, yeah. You are being a warmonger. Exactly. Why do you hate peace so much? Exactly, Gaius. I don't feel guilty for torturing algorithms. I agree, Kissing Gonzo. I think I feel the same. Welcome back, Ribbons. Welcome back, Tuka. Welcome back, Gaius, Kissing Gonzo, Void Nick, Tisrio, all y'all motherfuckers. Carl Toes, thank you for coming back. Yeah, Leon, I wonder why. Okay, I gotta say, look, I love you, man. I respect you, and I respect your opinion. And I respect that you're following the 3-step program to create political change. But you are eating it up, bruh. You are eating it up, bruh. I just, you know, I feel a heartbreak coming on. I feel a little heartbreak coming on. The people think cutting off Ukrainian military humanitarian aid supplies is a good idea, and it's absolutely dumb. I can't believe it, Carl. Ukraine struck Belgrade with HIMARS just hours after U.S. ban was lifted. So this is what I was talking about. I said minutes. I meant hours. Always organized and true. I'm very well organized. Yes, Ponder Monkey, you're required to be. But no, as we see, the ban was lifted and HIMARS hit the fucking skies, baby. Oh, well, Ukraine should give up, guys.
Ukraine launched a precision strike deep inside Russian territory.
Russia's winning. Isn't Russia winning?
The Ukrainian army utilized
I spent 5 minutes watching a video. Russia's winning.
In northern Ukraine. Recall, for more than 2 years, the Biden administration
How did Canal 13's AI voice get worse?
allowing Ukraine to deploy them only against Russian targets on Ukrainian soil. However, recent devastating Russian strikes on Kharkiv prompted a reassessment. The indiscriminate bombings, including an attack on a home improvement store that claimed 18 lives, led to a decision to erase the restriction.
You should just give up. You should just give up, guys. We're going to keep doing this because we love peace. We want peace. Don't you just want peace? No more people to die. I don't want any more people to die. We just got to let the violent, brutal characters in our life let us walk all over us because I'm a weak bitch.
Ukrainian President.
I don't get this attitude. And you know, the attitude, you know why I don't get it? Because it's not a real attitude. Bad actors are pretending, right? It's bad actors fucking pretending. Nobody really thinks like this. Maybe kooky, Code Pink style, you know, hippie crystal types. Maybe everyone just get along. The soldiers should just put their guns down. Maybe. But no one really believes this. That this kind of behavior, you know, killing innocent civilians, massacre after massacre after massacre. Along, you know, he strikes military targets while also striking apartments and, you know, markets and things like that. No one really thinks that. Fucking bad actors, dude.
Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the move, stating it would enhance Ukraine's ability to defend against Russian aggression.
Nice. Hell yeah. What? Is that real? State Department seized the passport of Scott Ritter when he was about to leave for Russia, and he was removed from the plane. Nice. Democracy Now! Famously just, 4 or 5 months ago, I think? Yeah, June 3rd. Wow, okay, this is breaking news. The U.S. State Department has seized the passport of former Marine and UN Weapons Inspector Scott Ritter as he was on his way to Russia for the International Economic Forum. So look, I mean, I don't know about the pedophile stuff, right? I think, the gaslighters have done a good job injecting enough doubt here where it's like, yeah, no, governments do weaponize pedophile allegations to destroy you. So, okay, let's ignore all that stuff. But this guy, literally does speeches for pro-Russian parties. Should he be... Look, is anyone allowed to go to Russia right now? Is travel with Russia okay right now? I don't know, man. Okay, I don't know. Excellent job. Then became a Russian stan. Yeah. And Amy Goodman still comments and references Scott Ritter, like I said, 5-6 months ago. All right, I'm going to watch this video in my private time, and then I'll show it maybe next stream or something. Okay, I'm going to put this in the politics section so I can review this. I want to see what the angle is here.
As the rockets rained down on Belgorod, Russian media captured scenes of air raid sirens and fiery launches of air defense batteries as the Ukrainian rockets thundered toward the city of 384,000. Belgorod and its surroundings serve as a base for Russian forces launching attacks on Ukrainian border towns, particularly towards Kharkiv. The strike on Belgorod marks a significant move in Ukraine's ability to target Russian military assets deep inside Russia, Forbes assesses. Previously, Ukraine had only used locally made or European munitions for such strikes. However, the availability of American-made precision weapons like HIMARS and ATACMS now offers Ukraine a more potent capability.
All right. There you go. I just wanted to give you that. I think there's a little bit more to this, but it's just some filler stuff, so we're going to keep moving. Sorry, I got my kid. He's going to be better in a couple seconds. Oh, it's Dracula from Castlevania. So, real quick, he's just music break. Music break while my child cries. Yeah. Music break. Music break while my child cries. Yeah. He's cranky. He's cranky right now. He's cranky right now. Child cries. Needs his milky right now. Child cries. Need my milky. Need my milk right now. Need that milky. Right now. Yeah, I hear Russia's a Dracula. Yeah, you did? Yeah, the Nest Castlevania is tough, dude. I've never actually beat the Nest Castlevania. I've only gotten to Dracula and gotten my ass kicked. All right. Okay, he's calming. He's got his milkies. He's getting some cuddles. All right, so no, this is some good news, and I'm seeing this. I think we saw this with Germany. I think was the last time I was reporting on this. Germany, allowing Ukraine to strike Russian territory with its weapons. Like, it's kind of absurd at this point. Why, one side can do it, but the other side can't. How absurd. So the Netherlands over here saying, yeah, no, I'm more of a leader than Joe Biden. We're better. We're more of a leader than the United States. So thank you, Netherlands. Big props. Big props. Dutch Defense Minister Kastja Ollgren assures that Ukraine can use 24 F-16 fighter jets that the Netherlands will provide to strike targets in Russia, reports Politico. And look, someone else point to me another scenario where the proxy army, aka the Ukrainian army, acted so professionally, where they're not going after civilians, they're not going after they're not doing buchas, they're sending Russian psychopaths. I'm talking the Nazi tattoo guys, the separatists, right? The guys that want, they want to take over Russia for their own crazy right-wing reason. So they're like, yeah, if Ukraine gives us weapons, we'll do that. They've sent those guys across the border not to do death squad, massacres against the Russian people, but to harass Russian military targets explicitly and exclusively, and then back the fuck out and then leave. So I've never seen this level of professionalism from any army, quite frankly, when it comes to civilian deaths. I have total faith that if the United States and all these other countries give Ukraine permission to strike targets in Russia, they will target military target. Now, here's where it gets tricky and here's where it gets great, because nothing's perfect, nothing's nice, right? Real life. The possibility of those glide bombs and HIMARS and ATACMS getting shot down and hitting civilian targets is very real. What can we do about that? Well, we can try to push back Russia as quickly as possible. That's really the only option if we want to prevent as much of that as possible. We pour it on, so to speak. We pour it on the military targets and get those military victories. So we got some good news here. Russia's planning major tax hikes. So, the total war conversion continues in the Russian economy. Ukraine absolutely lagging behind in this conversion. And like I said, it's my belief that Zelensky is waiting until after the U.S. presidential election to announce that Ukraine is going into a total war economy state. That is what's required. We do need every Ukrainian living in Ukraine contributing to this war. I think the fantasy that this is going to be over in 18 months, with a little help from Uncle Sam, is past. I think we're all done with that fantasy now. So I've been saying this for months, that Ukraine needs to be entering a total war stance, but Russia, this is, continuing along with their path. Okay, I mean, yeah, it's Kyiv Post. Yeah, sure. News source here. I doubt this is a lie. Do we think this is just a totally made up fabrication? That's pretty rare. Is this the Onion? Moscow is short of cash. The Russian Ministry of Finance has now presented the main points of a planned tax reform. Maybe they're blowing something out of proportion. It includes an income tax hike for high earners with a maximum rate going up from 15 to 22%, and an increase in corporate tax rate from 20 to 25%. There will also be no exemptions for VAT. Is this reform the quote-unquote adjustment for fairness it claims to be? So this is just being presented. It's now presented. Okay. So yeah, little hyperbolic, but the headline does say plans. Okay. All right. Kyiv Post, Kyiv Independent, mid-tier news. We show all the news here. You guys should know that by now. But I think a Su-57 and its aerodynamics from maneuver is unbeatable. I don't know. Pretty sure I've seen a few of those sons of bitches shot down with, surface-to-air missiles. I guess, no plane is totally invulnerable from that. So maybe that's not a fair criticism. So good news here. Biden permission to strike targets. Bad news. Biden's permission to strike targets in Russia does not apply to ATACMS. Great. Those really useful things that Russia's having a hard time jamming more than any of the other stuff? They're apparently having, their shoot down rate is skyrocketing The success rate of these weapons is plummeting dramatically. The HIMARS effect is not happening with ATACMS and a bunch of other munitions because Russia has had enough time to create jamming technology, and apparently they're getting, and they're getting targeted now. They're getting shot down. But the ATACMS, I think, have a higher likelihood than the HIMARS. So let's go ahead and put that restriction on there, Joe. You're pathetic, Joe. You're pathetic, Joe. You're scared of Putin, Joe. You're terrified of Putin. And it shows. And Putin sees it. Pathetic. I'm so sick of it. So, got to talk about this, and I won't be able to show the entire clip. But once again, this is what we should be capitulating to, according to the peaceniks, the pacifists, huh? The ones that just care about human beings. This should be rewarded. So more evidence of blatant Russia mistreatment of POWs. Happy, proud of it. I'll show you the clip, and then I'll explain the rest of the clip and explain what happens in the rest of the clip. Headline: the Ombudsman appealed to the UN because of the video of abuse of prisoners in the Kharkiv area. Ombudsman Dmytro Lubinets appealed to the International Committee of the Red Cross and the UN due to a video circulating on the internet of abuse of Ukrainian prisoners of war, presumably in the Kharkiv direction. So I'll be able to play the first minute of this, basically, and then it cuts to, I'll explain later what it cuts to. Actually, let me just put up my blur thing here, and maybe I can just explain the rest of it. Yeah, there we go. Sec. Blur filter in place. There. Sorry, I'll get the disrespectful to have that music playing.
Конечно, знает гимн Советского Союза.
As we can see here,
Знаешь, какую?
they're in quite a state.
Страна огромная.
Messed up, shirts ripped off. Hands are bloodied from the bindings. It looks like. Shouting probably all kinds of shit at them. That's one thing. Real proud of himself there. I mean, look, that's fine. We've seen Ukrainians being very proud of the POWs that they're capturing, but at least they're smart enough to, capture footage of them giving them cigarettes and interrogating them. Basically, hey, if you want to live, tell us where your buddies are at. We're not going to shoot you if you cooperate. With that said, do we really believe that, these tough as nails Ukrainian frontline soldiers are not executing some Russians that, come on, like that shit has to be happening. Is it happening at the rate and at the level of brutality that we've seen, at least documented by the Russians themselves? So far, no. So far, there's not a lot of evidence to show that. Yeah, Chem Goblin, that's a good point. I'm sure there's some some Russian videos handing out cigarettes as well. Wow, Mr. Rumble, what a fucking loser, dude. You actually did you waited a whole half hour. Wow, pathetic. I'm just gonna go ahead and ignore you unless you say something that's actually worth a damn. So just so you know. I'll read your terrible comments, but I'm not going to respond to each one. By the way, we're watching Russians torture Ukrainians. Does that bother you at all? You think we should do you think we should no, I don't have it on this one over here. Let me bring it on over actually. Ford the Perfect, 1 second. But this is what we should give up to, right? This is what we got to give up to. We gotta capitulate for humanity's sake. Right, so we got to give up to this. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and blur it now and explain to you what these Russians are doing to these Ukrainian POWs next. He just kicks him. So this guy was already injured. I think I need to increase the severity of this blur filter here. 1 second. So he kicks the guy. Let's do maybe the blah simple. Yeah, there we go. It's maybe even. Yeah. No, you can kind of see everything pretty clearly there. Okay, so I can't show this. So I'm gonna take it off the screen, and then I'll explain to you what we're seeing. All right. So the front guy got kicked right in the gut. I think maybe in a spot that he was injured. Maybe a spot because he's really hurt. He's down on the ground like in doubling over in pain right now. Okay, so now the Russians are walking over to this man who can barely move after being kicked and is now kicking him in the head. They're frustrated that he's not getting right back up. They're kind of frustrated at this right now. So the Russian is now chambering around in his AK-47, weapon there. He's pulling back, engaging around, counting down, putting the barrel right next to this person's head, pointing the barrel down directly into the dirt, shooting around directly into the dirt next to the man's head, not into the man's head, but right next to the man's head. The man barely responds because he is doubled over with pain. So, hey, Mr. Rumble, are you paying attention to any of this? Are you paying attention to any of this? This is the empire that you're defending. I guess you don't care, right? You don't care what's happening. So I can show you this still image. But you're currently in the process of defending these actions. You are aware of that, right? So this is the man's still alive, but this is after he's fired a round into the ground. And he barely reacted to it. He barely reacted because he's in so much pain. I guess Rumble doesn't really give a shit. I mean, we should just give up. We should let this win for the sake of peace. Because this is what peace looks like, guys. Capitulating to this. The pretty disgusting stuff that we see people actively defending in the chat. Pretty disgusting shit. So here's more evidence of Russia totally winning and kicking a lot of ass. Russia loses record number of soldiers in May. See, once again, you're a slimy bad actor, Mr. Rumble. You're hiding behind peace to defend war. Pretty disgusting. So a total of 38,940 Russian personnel were destroyed in May. Ukraine's defense ministry has reported that Russian forces, so this is, take it with a grain of salt. Let's say 35. Let's see, because we got Ukraine over here reporting this. They're going to be generous with the numbers. Let's say 30. Let's say 30. This is supposed to be evidence. This is supposed to be evidence that Russia's kicking ass. It's like, oh well, yeah, they'll have more. They'll keep coming. They'll keep coming. Just give up. Just give up. They'll keep coming. They're an undefeatable, powerful empire. The world's second strongest military. Didn't you know? How is it my fault that Putin sending his troops into a territory and invading and losing it? How is that mine or the West's fault? I'm done with you, dude. We're officially done with you, man. I'm gonna give you another 10 minutes so I can get on with my life. It's clearly an act. It's clearly some kind of troll, some kind of, you know what I mean? It's clearly an act. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get back to it here. Yeah, it's clearly an act. The U.S. has had 22,000 casualties in 20 years. After our invasions and, Iraq and Afghanistan and our military adventures all over the world, 22,000. Russia has lost, according to Ukraine, 38,000. Let's be generous and just say 30,000. Round it down. The president of Georgia called for a referendum after the adoption of the law on foreign agents. So, we had some bad news that the veto was overturned and that the foreign agents law in Georgia, which basically allows for media that's critical of Russia to be destroyed, they're pro-Western, they're, injecting wrong think into the zeitgeist, so they got to go. And, it's funny. I just said it's okay look, when it comes to InfoWars, I'm okay, like I said, with InfoWars being ridiculously wrong, bad actors, grifters, seeding the infoscape with incorrect information, misinformation. I'm actually okay with that. What I'm not okay with is stochastic terrorism. Creating false narratives, lies that get people killed and get people hurt. Remember, there are limits to free speech, and stochastic terrorism is one of those. And I think it's absolutely fair to say that InfoWars seeds and foments stochastic terrorism on any number of stories. There are limits to free speech. Okay. I'm not a free speech absolutist. Every time someone says that, they're the biggest anti-free speech grifter you've ever seen in your fucking life, by the way. It's a tough subject, free speech, because it's fun to say free speech, absolute. I believe that you can say whatever you want, whenever you want. That's really fun and freeing to say, except when you see it in practice. And it turns into fucking chaos almost immediately. I'm reminded of the time that the conservative social media, was it Gab or Gaff or something like that? They had a total free speech. You could post whatever you want at any time. Child porn, immediately. Immediately people started posting pictures of their feces under articles that they disagreed with. They immediately had to start putting limits to people's free speech. Anyway, back to this. The president of Georgia called for a referendum after the adoption of a law on foreign agents. Thank you, Arbitoire. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Georgia President Salome Zurabishvili has called on citizens to collect signatures for a referendum on a law on foreign agents after a pro-government parliamentary majority overrode her veto. Zurabishvili's statements is quoted by the Sova news portal European Truth Reports. President of Georgia addressed the participants of the protest in Tbilisi, criticized by the 84 deputies who voted for the law on foreign agents, saying that they will not be able to change the future of this country. So these 84 are pro-Russian, installed. This is how Russia's trying to do it. Oh, it's a legitimate rebellion. Oh, there's just so many pro-Russian people that want to join the Russian Federation in Georgia, and we're just helping them out, and we're just kind of similar to what we're seeing in Taiwan with that pro-China party, raising a ruckus when democracy chose independence over slavery in Taiwan. Similar shit, right? It's kind of like it's kind of a modern way to conquer a country. Kind of do it on the cheap, right? It's a whole lot cheaper than to send 38,000 people a month to their fucking doom. A little cheaper if you just, kind of take over the government and then, oh, we voted. Everyone agrees. We voted to join this bigger empire. What do you know? Ah, that thing that we said we would never do, we're doing. Whoa, come on. So it's kind of a modern way to conquer a country. Quote, we must do everything to prepare for October 26th, which will be our answer for today, Zurabishvili said, referring to the day of parliamentary election. So interesting. She's like, this is your opportunity to kick these people out. She also called on Georgians to collect signatures to sign a petition for a referendum on whether we want European future or Russian slavery. So that's interesting. So the law's got to happen, but she's saying we got an election coming up. We can punish these 84. for this, and we can also do a referendum to change this as well. So they're not out of this fight yet. Quote, at this time, I will work to ensure that our partners are friends, as some who have not yet understood who is our friend and who is our enemy forever and ever, so that our friends are close to us, the president concluded. Now, I don't like that language, but when you're being conquered by another country, it's pretty hard to like turn the other cheek and say, yeah, well, we'd like peace with our brother Russia one day. You kind of, the rhetoric has to get, they're being actively conquered by Russia. How much of Georgian territory was conquered by Russia there during that initial invasion? What was it, 2013? Big chunk of it. The most interesting things about World War II is the Enigma machine. Yeah, I guess so. Wasn't it cracked? Wasn't that shit cracked like within months? I'm sorry, I'm pooping on your parade. I'm sorry, Carl. Sorry, Carl. 2008. Oh, okay, 20% in 2008. Okay, 2008. Thank you, Davey, for that correction. Once a sheriff's deputy in Florida, now a source of disinformation from Russia. But you got to watch out, man. Putin is, his propaganda department is all over the place. Their greasy fingers are everywhere. Indigenous code talkers. Yeah, they did a movie about that. Wasn't it called like, I don't know, White Walkers or something like that? I don't know. Keyboard's too small. I accidentally hit 2007. I hit my 2007 key all the time. In 2016, Russia used an army of trolls to interfere in the U.S. presidential election. This year, an American given asylum in Moscow may be accomplishing much the same thing all by himself. I got to tell you, an American-born man who has to run to Moscow. Oh, my God. Does he even know how to speak the language? What a disaster. What a son of a bitch. A dozen years ago, John Mark Dugan, a former deputy sheriff in Palm Beach County, Florida, sent voters an email posing as county commissioner, urging them to oppose the re-election of the county sheriff. He later masqueraded online as a Russian tech worker with the pseudonym Bad Wolf. Ugh. To leak confidential information in violation of state law, fooling officials in Florida who thought they were dealing with a foreigner. He also posed as a fictional New York City heiress he called Jessica, tricking an advisor to a Palm Beach County Sheriff's office into divulging improper conduct by the department. Quote, and boy, did he ever spill all the beans, Mr. Dugan said in a written response to questions for this article, in which he confirmed his role in these episodes. Those subterfuges in the United States, it turned out, were only a prelude to a more prominent and potentially more ominous campaign of deception he had been conducting from Russia. Mr. Dugan, age 51, who received political asylum in Moscow, is now a key player in Russia's disinformation operations against the West. I don't know why I said that like that. Against the West. Back in 2016, when the Kremlin interfered in the American presidential election, an army of computer trolls toiled for hours in an office building in St. Petersburg to try to fool Americans online. So, it's the whole story here. If you want to read it, I'll go ahead and give you the link. Once again, thank you to everybody who's contributing to the Discord. The person with the random string of numbers and letters with an image of Kurt Cobain, thank you. I think Tisrael has thrown a couple in there. Strategy member, of course. Davey, Woke Patriot, Chem Goblin. Man. I love your memes. Thank you, Leon, for Leon as well participating in the Discord. Thank you, Leon. I love the memes. So here we have, look, we were showing a lot of this guy early on in the war because it was funny. And then, the joke kind of got old pretty quickly at how ridiculous and hyperbolic the statements coming out of the Russian state media is. Just the bravado, the swagger, stomping around your $1 million studio, talking about, swinging your fucking dick around. Oh yeah, we're gonna bomb this and we're gonna roll into Germany. You better watch out, boy. We're gonna fuck you up over here. And pretty annoying. I'm sure Chem Goblin's got you covered there, Carl. Oh, thank you, Davey. So pretty fucking annoying. But with that said, though, I thought I would show some of this because, quite frankly, it's just you know, it goes back to what we started talking about at the beginning of the stream, you know, with this nuclear threat. It's absurd, right? And the way they talk about it, the main thing that I want to show with this clip is how they talk about, you know, how things are going to work out. It's literally like the pretend badass at, you know, at the school lunch table talking about how he's going to beat this guy's ass and he's going to kick this dude's ass and you better watch out, right? And it's like, oh yeah, you know, and then the principal walks up, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, sir, okay, my bad. But no, I mean, it's like the idea that, you know, you're going to be able to, the crux of this is that, you know, it's absurd to think that you're going to be able to escalate without response. Okay, whatever direction you escalate in, more chemical weapons outside of tear gas and some of the other shit that they've been using, but, you know, more chemical weapons or more nuclear weapons. You don't get to just do that in a vacuum.
Вот сейчас Deutsche Welle показывает, как горит Волчанск. И они в ужасе от этого. И если у нас есть это видео, покажите, пожалуйста. Вот они показывают Волчанск, Харьковскую область, интенсивно.
I don't know why he's acting like this is a new thing. DW covers every step in the Ukrainian war, so I don't know what he's pretending like he's surprised by this or something. I don't get it.
Боев, северная часть города практически там полностью. Вот они показывают это все. Вы понимаете, что так будут выглядеть города Германии? Только к ним мы будем гораздо жестче. Мы просто все снесем. Вы это понимаете или вам необходимо в очередной раз, чтобы русский солдат пришел на вашу землю, но в этот раз уже не ушел? Чтобы у вас не было возможности раз за разом угрожать русскому человеку с вашей земли. Вы это можете понять, немцы, или нет?
They're not fucking scared of you. Oh, Germany better watch out. This is what we're going to do to you. Really? Really? Is that why your military is scared shitless of attacking a NATO country? Because you're such fucking badasses? Is that why? Is it just a coincidence that you're exclusively going after smaller countries that have weaker militaries, where you can muddy up the politics and not have to worry about, you know, contractual obligations to respond militarily? So that's just a coincidence, huh, that you're targeting a bunch of countries that are not part of NATO, right? Because you're such badasses. Like I said, the school bully, you know, going to the 4th grade class, you know, he's in 6th grade. He's kicking all the 4th graders' asses. Yeah! Then a 6th grader comes up and he's like, oh, shut up, dude. Leave me alone, man. It's her fault. They were talking shit about me. She was talking shit about me. I mean, I hate to use such a juvenile comparison, but it's so juvenile, really, when you think about it. And the absurdity of these people in my chat room saying, oh, you know, this is peace, capitulating to this. I just care about peace. I don't. You're putting words in my mouth. I don't want to care about defeatism or war. I just care about human lives, Russian or Ukrainian. Yeah, sure you do, buddy. So you corner people like that with you know, Bucha massacres and they change the topic. They don't really have a response to the atrocities and how to respond to that. Do you know Giorgia Meloni? What, from Italy? I know of her. Yeah, there we go. This is some great news. I want to see more of this. I would like to see Zelensky get behind this. I know right now it's like there's probably a conservative, misogynistic, anti-gay contingency in Ukraine that he doesn't really want to piss off. So he probably has to tread lightly with stuff like this. With that said, I would like to see courage regardless. You know, I think LGBTQ and gay people would like to see courage on this topic from Zelensky. But with that said, this is positive. You know, this kind of stuff would have been far more difficult with the Russian-controlled government. You know, the Russian puppet that was installed before Zelensky. This kind of stuff would have been cracked down on. It would have been, you know, pushed back against, vilified in the media. But here we see, you know, the Ukrainians enjoying some of the peace that they're earning every single day on the front lines. The first equality march after the start of the Great War will take place in Kyiv. Watch Putin try to bomb this. The first March of Equality will be held in Kyiv after the start of the full-scale war between Russia and Ukraine. For security reasons, it will be held in the capital metro. Okay, so they're worried about that. They'll be targeted by Putin. Peace-loving Putin, who just wants peace. He just wants to conquer a one-third of Ukraine and live in harmony and peace, guys. Can't you see this? Warmongers? Can't you see that? The public organization Kyiv Pride informed the publication Detector Media about this upcoming event. Made the same I don't want to see people die argument. Ford the perfect. It's an incredibly disingenuous argument, usually made by people that are like pro, you know, kill the Palestinians, or Israel has all the right to kill they want. You know, very selective about their I just care about human rights rhetoric. I won't be able to show that link. Sorry, Ford. I'll take your word for it. The march is planned for June 16th, as reported by the organizers. The event will meet security requirements and will be coordinated with the authorities. 500 people will be able to take part in it, including activists, representatives, and LGBTQ+ and human rights organizations and volunteers. So I think for security reasons, they gotta lock it down. It's going to happen at this time for, you know, this amount of time, and then we're all going to disperse, because it's really, really not advisable to be collecting in big groups of people, civilian or military. Of course not military, but civilian as well. It would be a bad idea to congregate for a certain amount of time. You need to show Zelensky gay dancing video? Okay, well, that one, I feel bad for the perfect, because I will show this one, because I'm a hack and I don't care about real information. I only care about this. So it's, I mean, look, is this guy anti-gay? You know? Is homie anti-gay? I don't know, dog. A guy that can make, I mean, first of all, a guy that can walk in heels like that, pretty impressive. And look, he's being tongue-in-cheek. Some gay people might even be offended by this by saying this is a gay stereotype and he's making fun of homosexuality. I don't know. It's kind of an embrace of it, if you ask me. He's definitely doing it like tongue-in-cheek. It's definitely comedic, but it seems more of like a gay pride thing than a I hate gay people or be scared of gay people or gay panic kind of video, right? But yeah, like I said, I think he's got a very, very tough tightrope to walk right now, because morale is low. He needs the people's support more than ever. He really can't afford to piss off certain segments with stupid, I mean, it's not stupid, but with culture war stuff when he's got a war to win, right? Gay rights and equality is not stupid at all. Okay. Let's not forget the flag we got flying right now, right? He do be looking good though. I could not pull this off even the slightest. He'd be looking pretty delicious, okay? And he's got the heels. Look at him walking these heels. Damn. There's also the one of him playing the piano with his dick. News wrap: Germany says Ukraine can use its long-range weapons to target Russia. So so this is kind of old news. I'm not going to rehash it. I don't need to waste 5 minutes of your time watching this news package. If you want to see it, I'll go ahead and give you the link. But like I said, European countries showing leadership. Joe Biden showing that he's a coward a little bit, and like allowing Putin to manipulate him through his election, which shows a lack of leadership. But Joe Biden getting pulled around by his nose. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't want to escalate. That might make me look bad. By escalate, really? Is that the only way you could possibly frame that? That's the only way you could look at it? You kicking Putin's ass is going to somehow make you look bad? What a bitch, dude. You know, get a little Churchill in you, man. Just a little. Obviously, keep away from his politics. But when it comes to dealing with tyrants and you know, the frog and the snake, the frog and the scorpion parable, you know, crossing the river. U.S. said Ukraine can attack Russia inside Russia as long as it's near Kharkiv. With ATACMS, did they change that? Since that article I showed was like 1 or 2 days old. Okay, Ford, whatever. Fine. You're a regular viewer. I will respect your patronage. Let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, because they did say it's cool for ATACMS now, so that was old news. Okay. Now look, here's the thing though. I don't really like championing this woman because of her ties to straight up fascism, to Mussolini style fascism. Now with that said, has she gone full blown Mussolini? No, unless you're an immigrant. I think she's pretty damn harsh on the immigrants, but she hasn't gone full blown Mussolini, but I'm still kind of uncomfortable. With that said, let's go ahead and show this.
Posizione del Movimento 5 Stelle sul tema dell'Ucraina dice: guardi che è meglio vivere sotto una dittatura che morire. E cade la maschera e si fa strage, in una parola, di secoli di storia in cui libertà, democrazia e tutti i valori della nostra civiltà sono stati costruiti con il sacrificio di chi era pronto a sacrificarsi per costruirli. E si fa strage della scelta che hanno fatto Paolo Borsellino, Giovanni Falcone e quelli che hanno combattuto la mafia. Io non credo che sia meglio vivere sotto una dittatura che morire. Io penso che noi dobbiamo lavorare perché le persone possano vivere libere. Questa è la differenza tra quello che stiamo facendo noi e quello che proponete voi. Grazie.
Look, I'm pretty sure I disagree with her politics. Probably a good 80 to 90% of her politics. I'm sure if we went, you know, list to list. But I'm not going to sit here and say I don't agree with what she just said. It's, you know, bad people who I disagree with can say things that are correct that I agree with. It does happen. And that is the case here because, yeah, I totally agree. We bend the knee. That's peace, huh? Bending the knee to an authoritarian whose strategy is to terrorize the Ukrainian people with civilian targeted, you know, massacres. You know, these aren't missiles being shot out of the sky and then landing in civilian areas. These are military weapons fired from in Russia, pointed directly at a civilian market with the intent to kill men, women, and children. And they have, of course, done so. Capitulating to that is the peak of cowardice. And you got these charlatans masquerading as peaceniks. Biden gives Ukraine permission to strike Russia with American weapons. So Davey over here. So this is a 4-day-old thing. I'm not going to show this. Davey over here letting us know. So Davey, could you please just give me one little article or something that says the U.S. gives permission? Because that was last I heard. The ATACMS was no. So that's a new development. So we'll move on from that one. What we got here? Could NATO enter a direct confrontation with Russia? So we got a debate here from DW. I'm going to get DMCA'd. My ass is going to get DMCA'd here. Let's go ahead and we'll watch 3 or 4 minutes of this, and if you know, if I don't like it, I'll turn it off. But I think I have this queued up because it's like, well, you know, we're having this discussion about escalation, about NATO. There's a lot of people, you know, on Ukraine's side that are begging NATO to get involved, and there's a lot of people that are like, well, that just kind of defeats the whole purpose of NATO if they go and defend a non-member. It would have to be through the United States. It would have to be U.S. boots on the ground, French boots on the ground, some kind of coalition of the willing. I don't know what you'd call it. Russia Putin did declare total war on Ukraine a few days ago. So, yeah, everything is on the table in my book. Not everything. Joe Biden is not wrong to stay away from chemical and nuclear weapon escalation. Look at how come Canada doesn't deserve this information? What is wrong? This was 3 days ago. No, Davey, I want something that says the U.S. says it's cool for attackums. Here's slightly longer. Where does it say attackums in this? Where does it say attackums?
U.S. President Joe Biden has given Ukraine the go-ahead to use some U.S. weapons.
See, some. Yeah, this is 3 days ago. This was the same shit I'm talking about. No, so they announced this, that they can use, HIMARS and other stuff, but they said no attackums. Davey, I think you might be misinformed on this one. Everything except the long-range attackums, yeah. All right, let's get to this one.
Ukraine next, and the country says it does not have the means to defend itself from Russian air attacks and has asked NATO members to come to its aid. We'll have more on what form this may or may not take in just a moment. But first, this report on the challenges Kyiv is facing from the skies.
So dumb. So dumb.
Air raid sirens.
It's absurd. It's just totally absurd, isn't it, everybody? Oh, don't hurt him too bad. And then there's, the speculation that, Joe Biden told Zelensky, don't attack their oil because it makes oil prices go up and that makes me look bad. Just pathetic. It's like, ooh, could you please employ the neoliberal strategy of tying your hands behind your back when you fight your opponents? That would really please me. If you could just make sure that there's arbitrary limitations to how you fight back, because we're scared. We're so scared.
Sound over Kyiv last year, while overhead, air defenses shoot down most of an incoming Russian attack.
Most.
Russian missiles continue to strike targets across Ukraine, including the vital port of Odessa in the far west of the country. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on NATO members to set up an air defense shield over his country to protect it from Russian missiles. In an interview with the New York Times, Zelensky said, "So my question is, what's the problem? Why can't we shoot them down? Is it defense? Yes. Is it an attack on Russia?
I mean, that's
no."
a great point, right?
U.S.-made Patriot surface-to-air missiles are expensive but effective. Some types have a range of over 100 kilometers. Patriot missiles have already been deployed inside NATO members, including Poland and Romania, which border Ukraine. A NATO air defense shield could protect parts of western Ukraine, including Odessa, but the capital, Kyiv, would be out of range. Supporters say that would take pressure off Ukraine, allowing it to concentrate its resources on the...
Now, I get why NATO wouldn't want to do that. But what the U.S. should do is put a U.S. missile launcher, there. Put a German one, put a French one in the areas where there's NATO anti-air weapons, and then start shooting down Russian. You know what I mean? But I get it. If it's got a NATO logo on it, no. No, if it was bought by NATO, put there by NATO, and it's there for NATO specific defense, no. I get why you can't. It may seem arbitrary, but it's kind of the whole point of NATO. Is that it's like only in emergencies unless you're George Bush. What can I say? Arbitrary Article 4, George Bush. What can you say? But no, this is how I would do. This is how a leader would do it. Like, okay, fine, yeah, no NATO stuff. Let's go ahead and park a U.S. one right next to it and start firing away. Oh, are you sure? What about Putin? What does he have to say about Putin? No, what is he going to do? What's the boat? Aren't you scared of Putin? No, I'm not scared of Putin because I'm not a bitch. I'm actually a leader. I'm fucking mainlining that Churchill attitude right now when it comes to fascist behavior. And I'm not putting up for this shit. So if there's an arbitrary restriction like with NATO, it's understandable. Fine. Are you kidding me? I got thousands of these fucking things parked in a warehouse over here in Ohio. Plop one right down there in Poland. Poland doesn't mind. Poland to be like high-fiving. Plop one right down, start firing, taking down those Russian, missiles in the sky. Right? And the airplanes too, if they're in Ukrainian territory. Yeah.
Front line. While some German politicians have embraced NATO air
leadership.
support, it's an idea the government has so far ruled out.
Let's get more from military analyst Frank Ledwidge. Frank, good morning. Why is this idea of NATO countries providing air defense cover over Ukraine proving so controversial?
Well, good morning, Biresh. The reason is that it's extremely significant were this to happen. Throughout the 45 years or so of the Cold War, our leaders, who were then experienced and highly competent, made every effort to avoid Western troops, NATO troops, US troops of whatever kind, coming into open conflict with Russian or Soviet military assets or indeed soldiers. There's the risk then of course, and this would constitute in itself escalation. And the trouble is, of course, escalation in all wars operates as a ratchet effect. You escalate up, it doesn't come down. So then what? What happens when these combatant troops, as they would then become, get hit legitimately, I would suggest, were they to be deployed in Ukraine itself, by Russians? What then? And the answer is, of course, further escalation. So there's a real danger in this. And, of course, the implications are that the US eventually will be drawn into this. I suspect they will be reluctant to do that, but we will see.
But in more than 2 years of war, we have crossed the point of escalation many times, haven't we? There have been warnings of escalation from Russia, for example. There have been nuclear threats, for example, and nothing much has come to pass on that. Are we not entering a new phase in the war in which creative ideas are required for the next steps?
Creative ideas, huh?
Well, yes, to put it mildly. And of course, what we have now and did not have in 2022 is a real prospect of Ukrainian defeat. Every effort we've made in the past has largely failed, including sanctions. We're now casting about for ideas. But this would be very significant.
I don't know if it's fair to say failed, but they haven't been as successful as predicted. With that said, there have been economic ramifications. It's just, Russia through India and China has been able to, cobble together a coalition, and then all their activities in the African continent. There hasn't been enough, leadership to really truly stop him. I mean, hell, we saw, cases, countries, United States buying oil from India, knowing full well probably still had the Russian flag on those barrels, knowing full well that money's going right back to Putin. Oh, well, that'll make me look bad if the gas prices go up. Joe Biden over here with literally sitting on, ocean of oil reserves could easily make that price go down while kicking Putin's ass. Ooh, that would require leadership. Ooh, I don't know. That might piss off some oil executives or something. Ooh, that's hard. Oh, no. Oh, I might piss somebody off. Oh, is there a solution that makes everybody unhappy? Those are the ones that I like, where everyone loses, including me.
Significant. It would be having Western combat troops engaging with Russian forces, and that is extremely significant. And by the way, we talk a lot of nuclear. Look, there are all kinds of steps between this kind of action and nuclear, and there are options available on both sides. But the fact that we're talking about options available on both sides in a situation, by the way, where Russia has what's called escalation dominance is really disturbing, and people should think very carefully before taking steps like this.
There is also debate about allowing Ukraine to strike targets inside Russia using Western weapon systems, and French President Emmanuel Macron
I get cutting NATO out. I get NATO saying no to NATO. I get that. But then you just, like I said, you don't put your hands in your pockets and say, oh, well, I guess the dictator wins. You think outside the fucking bun, Joe.
Has been saying that.
I know, those are nice bookcases, right? Really sturdy looking.
Ukraine should be allowed to, quote, neutralize bases in Russia from where strikes are launched.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Ponder
sounds
monkey.
like a reason.
No, tiptoeing around it like, oh no, what's Mike Johnson going to say? And oh no, what's the Republican smear machine going to say about me? And oh no, it's going to make me look bad. It's like, is there any attempt whatsoever to control the narrative, or is it just reflexively following whatever the right-wing smear machine says and constantly 100% always on the defensive? Like I said, tying both hands behind their back. No leadership whatsoever. There's no way I could lead the narrative with I'm going to kick Putin's ass, kind of narrative. No, that's a loser for me during the elections. Except it was polling really, really good until the right-wing smear machine kicked in. Oh, no, now it's bad. They're talking shit about me on Fox News. It's so pathetic.
Reasonable argument, doesn't it?
Woke Patriot, you're right.
Yes, and it operates around, particularly around Kharkiv, where I think the point made is fair, in that the Russians strike Ukrainian forces, and Ukrainians can't strike back in what's called counter-battery fire. In other words, striking, as Macron says rightly, the launch sites of Russian missiles. However, in other parts, it doesn't make much sense. It's the Russian rear, the Russian operational rear is quite large.
You're correct.
But of course, it is very significant. There's a great difference in striking someone like Crimea and the claim.
And to anybody who's new to the stream, please don't assume that I'm fucking assuming that the Republican, fascistic Republican alternative would be any better, okay? Even though I was praising George Bush for his, leadership in a failed operation in Iraq, Afghanistan, at least he set a mission, he went in and win it. And, he got a coalition, he went in, and he put boots on the ground. Man, this thing it's so gray and so muddy. It's impossible. Like, I'm so jealous of the political commentators that speak in generalizations and just tell people what they want to hear, because they're so smooth and they're so snappy and there's no divergence and there's no discussion or debate. They're just like, it sounds so authoritative and so on point, but you're like, no, you're missing the whole fucking conversation. You're not having a real conversation here. It's a one-way thing and you're wrong. I refuse to do that, but it ruins the whole stream, ruins everything.
Named lands, the Ukrainian lands of the Donbass, and striking with Western missiles into metropolitan Russia itself. And Putin has made it very clear that is a significant step change. And again, careful thought will have to be given to that. And the most important thing is, if we were to allow the Ukrainians to do this, that there is a very strict, absolutely firm and rock hard commitment on their part to attack only military targets. We cannot have, were this to happen, civilian casualties. That would be a very serious step and a very serious misstep were that to take place, and would then, I think the Russians rightly could regard that as a legitimate reason for retaliation if large-scale civilian casualties were involved. But for purely military targets, there's a good argument for it. I suspect we'll only see the French and British missiles do that. I can't see the Americans agreeing to it in an election year. They don't want to become directly involved in this. Although, of course, with escalation, with NATO.
Yeah, woke patriot, totally. Yeah, totally.
There's always the risk of that happening. I don't think we're going to see US missiles achieving this. And then there's another problem, by the way, and that's stocks. The French and the British don't have deep stocks. They're already digging into their supplies. And I suspect the numbers of missiles involved will be very limited, and therefore the effect quite limited.
I'm so absolutely tired of this. I'm so tired of this. Switzerland upper house. Okay. Thank you, Reuters. What a great website. Switzerland's upper house rejects 5 billion Swiss franc aid plan for Ukraine. Great. No. Thank you for the link, Rob. Switzerland's upper house of parliament on Monday rejected 5 billion Swiss franc aid contribution for Ukraine contained in a broader financial package on the grounds that the plan breaching borrowing restrictions to the neutral country. Okay. Bureaucracy. 28 against and 15 in favor. Lawmakers voted down the 15 billion franc package, which also included 10.1 billion francs in addition to funding for the country's armed forces. Plan's defeat have been widely anticipated in recent weeks, with legislators from the right particularly opposed to it. Of course. Always the right. What is the deal? What is the deal with these characters? Pretend badasses, huh? Yeah, they're just the biggest badasses when they're cracking the head of a left-wing activist protester. When the cops are stomping on free speech and liberty. They're such tough guys. Oh, a dictator rolling over another country? Ooh, I don't know if we have. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Rob, actually, Switzerland famously dropped its neutrality stance in favor of Ukraine just recently. That's actually been some recent moves there. I believe they also joined NATO, right? Was it Finland, Switzerland, right? Or is it Sweden? I always get those two mixed up. Damn it, I always get those two mixed up.
The northeast of you.
It was Sweden, wasn't it? It was Sweden. Damn it! Switzerland's already a member of NATO, right? That's how it goes? Oh, such an idiot. Such a fucking moron. Okay, let's keep it going. No. Go back to school. Kremlin official, on to the next story here. Kremlin official threatens war against NATO if Ukraine uses U.S. weapons against Russia. Do it. Do it. Also not EU. Oh, really? Switzerland? Oh, that's interesting.
Ukraine is being pounded by Russian missiles and bombs. This is the smoking, wasted city of Vovchansk, sitting in the firing line of the Kremlin's new offensive. But the United States has reversed its policy on the usage of its weapons.
They all look the same.
Ukraine can now fire American munitions into Russian territory in the northeast of the country as a way of slowing the assault. Since the conflict began, this has been a red line for Washington. But the nightly attacks on Kharkiv and other cities in recent weeks have changed that calculation.
Over the past few weeks, Ukraine came to us and asked for the authorization to use weapons that we're providing to defend against this aggression, including against Russian forces that are massing on the Russian side of the border and then attacking into Ukraine. That went right to the president, and as you've heard, he's approved the use of our weapons for that purpose.
President Zelensky in Sweden for a Nordic-Ukrainian summit has welcomed the decision, but says the supply of Western arms needs to be faster.
From the moment of acceptance of the supplement to the moment when you can use it, half a year can pass, or even more. And it seems to me that this is the main enemy of ours, the slow supplies.
This alone will not change the course of the war.
Totally right.
Kyiv has for many months carried out attacks in Russia, but it's not broken the Kremlin's resolve. Moscow has reacted angrily, warning the change in U.S. policy.
No, and this is what I'm talking about with leadership, because this isn't enough. The $60 billion isn't enough. You know, the little drops in the ocean that the European, Western consensus is providing is not enough. We need a real coalition. We need real leaders who are willing to take a couple hits in the polls, maybe, and piss a couple people off. Mostly right wingers who are being disingenuous. If the shoe was on the other foot and if this was a right wing slam dunk, they'd be all gung ho and no mercy, finish them all, like with Palestine, right? That's what we need. We need to pour it on. We need a real coalition. We need to pour it on, and quite frankly, we also need that total war stance coming from Ukraine because we need soldiers to win this. Man, it's just unbelievable how much of this depends on the stupid U.S. presidential election.
It will bring with it serious consequences.
Got to stop this, right, Rock? Yeah, okay. Got to stop it.
Everything is being done to prolong and escalate the armed conflict in Ukraine. The West is urgently pumping the country with weapons, transmitting intelligence data, training Ukrainian military personnel, and recruiting mercenaries. Against this backdrop, Russia continues the special military operation, and all its goals will certainly be achieved.
What Russia now does in
don't you love how I care so much about peace? We got to stop this narrative from the fucking right wing. Now they're pacifists. Now they're peaceniks. It's so disingenuous.
Response remains to be seen, but this is significant.
We care
For the first
so
time,
much.
American weapons can now be fired at Russian forces on Russian soil. The US and the West's involvement in this war against a nuclear-armed adversary has just got deeper.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Sky News, on completely failing to mention the ATACMS limitation. How many millions of dollars are in your newsroom? Do you have a single $15 an hour intern that could have maybe put this as part of the news package? Sky News. Nice ball drop there. I guess the News Underground will have to cover you. We already covered. I already showed you the article that it's confirmed. Everything but the ATACMS. Sky News doesn't a single fucking mention. Pretty pathetic. Here we go. We got some red meat for you boys. I think this one's from Davey. Footage of Ukrainian M1A1 Abrams MBT sending 120 millimeter shells into Russian positions at the Avdiivka coke plant. This is in March and April. Very, very recently. Let's get a little What a shot too, because you get the target in the distance. You get to see the whole, was it parabolic arc? Is that what it is? Okay, thank you. No thanks. Stop putting licensed songs in your clips, please. Anyway, what an amazing shot. Look at that. Boom, you get the whole thing, vertical video. It's a good use of vertical video too. Boom, and you see it hit its target even. Man. Wow. You never get to see, you never get to see shots like this. This is fantastic. Look, I'm sorry, I know I sound like a warmonger, but this shot is spectacular. Wow. One more time, I want to see that again. Wow. You can see it impact. You can see the debris cloud. Boom, dude. How many miles? What do you think? 2 miles away? 1 mile away? Maybe a mile away? Ah. Damn, there we go. Something blew off. Damn. Oh, that's the still from it firing. Look at that. I thought this was a still of it getting blown up. It's like I was about to hit the button. It's like, oh shit. Wow, that's something else. Thank you, Davey, for that link. I believe this one was from you, Chem Goblin. No, this one I think was also from Davey, who said this was safe to stream. Really harrowing stuff. You know, I want to reward you guys for sticking around so far. So get some really red meat here, some really visceral footage. No blood or guts, but you know, just give you an idea of how you know how difficult. Like I said, I've said this before. I'll say it again. There's no job on planet Earth harder than frontline soldiering. Being right there, taking the fire, returning it, hours and hours and hours of you're taking a coffee break with fucking tracer rounds flying over you. I don't think there's not a job on planet Earth that's harder. Infantry, yeah. So I just want to show it here. Just, you know, this is just, you know, 60 seconds of it, you know, and I'd be exhausted and pissing in a puddle. I don't know about you, man, but you know, if I was going through this, I'd be taking training seriously because, you know, my old creaky ass, I'm almost 40, right? My old creaky ass. Yeah, I'm taking this training seriously, dude. I don't want to. I want to be as prepared as possible for this because look at what you have to go through. Look at how hard you have to push yourself. Misfire. Fuck.
Be careful.
Be careful. It's an armed missile, dude.
It's not fucking shooting.
Yeah, that one went in the barrel differently. I don't know. Maybe it's different ammo for a different gun. But if you notice, it went into the. This one went into the barrel. Has the stop is different. Look at that. It's higher up from the warhead where the one he put in previously. I'll show you here. Look, you see how deep that one goes? So it's definitely a different kind of munition. Maybe it's for, you know, maybe it's just like one is incendiary and one is frag or something like that. I'm not quite sure. You know, obviously I'm not an expert, but that was just what I noticed there is that, you know, that one has. Okay, so he's trying this one again. So I'm curious. Let's see what happens. Get it in there, buddy.
One more.
There we go. There we go, Daddy-O. So yeah, these things are armed. Once you know, you got to click them in, and that's what actually triggers the warhead and makes it, you know, makes it ready to actually blow up. So, you know, maybe he just didn't, you know, get it in there good enough, right? Pro-Kremlin activist Alina Kobolnatska left Germany for the Russian Federation. Boo! She left the country together with her partner Max Schlad. The reason her departure was the fallen moral standards of European society. Boo! Criminal case opened against her in Germany, violation of EU sanctions, illegal possession of weapons. In addition to Germany, husband and transfer case. Of course she did. Of course she did. Man, I tell you, Russia, like that whole like idea of like another country hitting you up and like, oh, do you want to be a traitor to your country? That shit, doesn't really happen except with Russia and possibly China as well with corporate espionage. But how wild would that be to be like a traitor for your country and not be Donald Trump, not be be a traitor to your country and not be Donald Trump and actually have to flee the country to a to the country that you were taking bribes from. Yeah, fuck Steven Seagal. This is the JCVD stream. The home of JCVD right here. Jean-Claude Van Damme, hero of society. The template that all alpha males should be following. JCVD. The template. Not Andrew Tate. JCVD. He's the template. If you want to know how to be a real man, JCVD.
Oh, fuck.
There you go. There's about 60 seconds, a little over 60 seconds of frontline. How long do you think you could do that? How long do you think you could handle it mentally? These guys could have blown up at any fucking second. Drone, grenade, artillery, Russians creeping up on their position, and they were caught slipping for 5 minutes, loading weapons, and the Russians snuck up on them. How long do you think you could handle that stress? I don't know. I don't think I could handle it very long. Jean-Claude Van Damme could handle it for decades without a problem. He'd laugh. But we won't get into that. This is footage, boys. I could totally do 20 seconds. Putin ready for nuclear war. German, France, Britain. Okay, nuclear capability in Russia. The mistakes. Okay, yeah. So you. I think you're new to this stream, but yeah, I've been saying throughout the whole stream this idea that Russia is going to be able to launch nuclear weapons in a vacuum and not have some kind of response is fucking ridiculous. He would. We're not going to get into it, though. We're not going to Chuck Norris JCVD because JCVD could kick Chuck Norris's ass. He's better than Chuck Norris in every single way. Movies are better. The TV shows are better. Personality better. He's got more money. He's more handsome. He's literally better than Chuck Norris in every single conceivable way. Quantifiably. I'll go issue by issue. But no, folks, if you stuck around this long, this is why you stuck around. This footage will grow some hairs on your balls. If you don't have balls, you're going to grow balls, and there's going to be hairs on them. So strap in. If you wanted a pair, watch this video. You're going to be clenching them. This is bananas footage. This is banana. This will install testicles into your biological system. I don't know how many ways I could say it. But no, you want to see what these guys are going through? These guys are going out to, armored vehicle to go pick up a wounded soldier. All right, this is their 9 to 5. Look at this. Motherfucker's hauling. Okay, I know from the sky it doesn't look like he's moving, but this guy's probably got the pedal to the metal. Watch this. Boom, right there. I don't think that wasn't a mine, right? Miss right there, right in front of him. I don't think that was a mine either. Blast through it. Boom! Third try. That might have been a hit. Blast through it. Not sure if it was a hit or not. Another one. That one hit right in front of him. Boom! Right there. Yeah, it could be IEDs. So then the rest of the footage is them, bravely putting this guy in the it's very disorienting. It's actually really hard to watch. It'll make you sick if I played the whole thing because it's like the camera's moving around like crazy. But just one more time, just to give you an example, this is the 9 to 5 that these Ukrainians are going through. I mean, this is heroic. Okay. Boom. Right there. Yeah, maybe it's an IED, maybe it's I don't know the delivery system. But just Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Good God. And he's moving. Boom. I think that's number 4. And then, you know, and he doesn't, he's, and like, you know, we've seen this before where they, you know, you're in a panic and you don't take the corner properly and you roll your shit. I've seen Russians do it. I believe I've seen Ukrainians do it as well. So once again, showing the unbelievable professionalism and cool head of this driver who, you know, I mean, everything in your body says, put that pedal to the floor and do not let up. But he says, yeah, well, I actually would like to survive this mission. He's got a cool enough head to hit the brakes, take that corner properly, and look at, I mean, just seconds away from annihilation right there. Right? So absolute bravery, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Welcome back, Old Growth Canopy and everyone else, Borderline Feline. It's good to see all you OGs back in the chat. So, last couple videos here. Wanted to show. Now, I do have a very special video that I wanted to show that is not positive in the least, but it's by this German dude that is apparently pro-Ukrainian, but he gives a very, very cold assessment. Here, I'll show you the video, at least the beginning here. But he gives a very cold assessment. The title of the video is
more artillery, more.
The Russian momentum is back now. He's the stuff that he says is in line with the stuff that I've heard. Austrian, thank you, Austrian, not German. But this is very, very boring to watch. So I think what I'm going to do with this video, because I do want to show it, it's very important. This is some of the most like cold military analysis that I've seen. That does it. What I like about it is that it does appear to be stone cold neutral, which is pretty hard to find. I did some research on this guy, and like I said, he's not pro-Russian. This is just literally him looking at the data and presenting it as he sees it. And, he talks about Ukrainian losses and Ukrainian victories. And so, this is the challenge that Ukraine is running into. Of course, it's around ammo and men. He gives his summary near the end here about, what Ukraine actually needs, without, just so he goes through it. Anyway, this is a really, really good video, and I do want to show this. But I think I'm going to have to do some kind of, maybe even later tonight, we'll do some late night stream where we just, I'm holding my kid and we can just watch the video quietly. Really only for you deep military heads are going to want to watch this, right? But I watched through the whole thing. I thought it was really fascinating. I thought it was really sobering. Okay. So I wanted to say all that stuff first before I show this stuff, because this is correct information, but it's from a very, pro-Ukrainian bias. Of course, Dennis from Ukraine, and of course, reporting from Ukraine. So I want to balance it out a little bit by showing this Austrian give a very cold assessment of the current battlefield reality. With that said, this was 5 days ago, before Ukraine had officially started its offensive or counterattack or whatever you want to call it, which is kind of what the headline news is right now about Ukraine pushing back. And that's what Dennis and reporting from Ukraine is going to get into. There's some absolute victories, Ukrainian victories, pushing back against Russia, but the overall trend is really quite frightening, because Russia is on a total war stance. He shows stats about ammo production. I don't know if I can find the chart. He goes through so many charts, but he shows this stat that was really shocking about ammo production, where Russia is producing 10 times, I'm not even exaggerating, literally 10 times the amount of artillery shells. Yeah, right here. So here's the chart that I'm talking about. So here we see the red is Russia, white is Ukraine. So this is the summer of 2023. Russia, Ukraine, pretty close. But here's Mike Johnson in the Republican Party and all the Republican political groups across every Western democracy. This is what they've bought Putin, right? They bought him time to engage this war industry so that Putin can fight on feet that he feels most comfortable, which is a war of attrition. That's the war that Russia wants to fight, and Mike Johnson and the fucking Republican Party and Donald Trump did everything they fucking could to make it happen. And so this is the reality. So like I said, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into some more, sobering reality here, but that does not take away some of the victories that Ukraine, that the brave Ukrainian frontline soldiers have been achieving. Because Russia has been paused, Russia has been halted, and in some places Russia is getting pushed back. And any place that Russia wants to keep, they have to dump tens of thousands of soldiers into these areas just to hold on to them. Okay, so like I said, 5 days ago, we'll watch this, but this will only be for the military heads. We'll do a special News Underground stream just for you military guys. Very pro, which is understandable, but I'm aware of a lot of Russians forcing the army who don't even want to fight. I've seen people in Russia breaking their own bones to dodge conscription, and those people are heroes. Look, if you're a Russian citizen that refuses to be conscripted, you're a Russian prisoner that refuses to be, thrown into this meat grinder. I'm not going to call you a hero if you're a Russian prisoner, because you're probably there for a very good reason. But I agree with your stance, right? So I do think that the people that are standing up against this war machine and saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to use my body. I know you're going to punish me. I know you're going to throw me in a gulag. I know you're going to ruin my life and I'm going to lose my job. But I support those people. I think, I think that is, look, and shooting yourself in the foot and all these things, that is better than allowing yourself to be used as a tool for murder and conquest by a shallow, pathetic dictator. Hard times, man. Hard times if you're a Russian. Hard times. Okay, but this is why the Russian people got to stand up. We need you more than ever, right? And, it's never been more apathetic. Because, like, the dishonest motherfuckers have figured out the secret trick with humanity, is that you can get your population to do horrible, horrible things and acquiesce to all kinds of horrible things as long as you give them bread and circus. As long as you give them bread and circus. As long as you give them the distractions and give them the consumer goods and give them and have the propaganda network ready to go, you can be a disgusting dictator, stuffing money in your pockets and everyone around you being super corrupt and stuffing money in your pockets and get away with it. All right, so let's get to the videos here. Like I said, positive spin. There's some victories from Ukraine. We're not going to watch the whole 20 minutes of this. We'll see the other one, but let's get into it. Let's see Ukraine kicking some more ass.
We have just received the information that Ukraine started a counterattack in the city of Vovchansk, Kharkiv region. Well, at least for now, it is the attempt of the Ukrainian counterattack. The fights are happening just right now. We have the information about it from the Ukrainian sources as well as from...
Davey, and thank you for that point. That the chatter from pro-Russian military social media is that the offensive is stalled, that the Russian offensive is stalled, and that Ukraine is at the very least holding its ground.
The Russian sources, so they're really in desperate because the last night was really devastating for them. Lots of their supplies and units were hit by HIMARS, General-Res Standard missiles, but still it is fine to reach even Belgorod city. If Russia has some of the bases out there, yes, they do have, and now Ukraine tries to offense. So this is just one of the Russian channels, Russian military bloggers. They share the information which is more or less correct compared to the Russian mainstream media propaganda. They confirm that they saw Ukrainian side advancing in Vovchansk and Leipzig. HIMARS are actively used to work in the border territory, so the territory of Russia, Russian Federation, and are used successfully. So we have some sort of the game change right now. We have a breakthrough for Ukraine to defend its territory. It's nothing to do with offensive action, no. Targeting Russian bases is first of all to protect Ukrainian soil. And we also have the reports that Ukraine started to use the strikes on the Kursk region of Russia. So Kursk Oblast is actually over here somewhere. It's not Belgorod Oblast, no. It is bordering the Sumy region of Ukraine, and there Russia concentrated their forces for the possible intervention into Ukrainian territory, their offensive action, as they did in Kharkiv, for example. For now, this group counts around 12,000 soldiers, and there are some of the reports that Russia might use them for the strike, but we know that Ukraine started the proactive action, protecting the territory by targeting the Russian forces out there. It means that the Western weaponry is used not just to protect...
As soon as the restrictions were lifted, a couple hours later, okay, can you line him up? Yeah, hit that fucking button. He's Zelensky over here, the fucking... Looking like he's playing Street Fighter, right? He's playing M. Blanca, is trying to do the electricity move, right? Hit the fucking button.
The Kharkiv city, but also to protect Sumy. Those are absolutely good news. So in general, according to the Russian information, Ukraine started to counteroffense in Liptse and also in Volchansk, but Ukrainian sources are very cautious presenting that information. They mostly say that heavy...
They're probably hesitant because this is still so fluid. Russia desperately wants to keep this front open in the north. This is that new northern front right here. They desperately want to keep this, keep the Ukrainians stretched across here. If Ukraine is able to successfully push them back and secure that border, it will be a major victory for Ukraine. It's showing that it is possible for this Ukrainian military to have concrete victories to change the battlefield reality, right? Because that's the worry, is that, okay, well, Ukraine might be tough and Ukraine might be killing a lot of Russian material and Russian soldiers, but are they on the defensive or on the offensive, right? Are they reacting, or are they the ones that are changing the battlefield reality? And pushing Russia back to its borders in this northern front, and then getting back to the business of liberating the Donbass, et cetera, and Crimea, would be massive, would be a huge win for Zelensky and the Ukrainian military. So I can see why this is untenable, and a cork does need to be put on this. And quite frankly, if Ukraine is incapable of doing this, then we should start discussing capitulation, right? I mean, honestly, if I'm no dig on Ukraine over here. I got your back. But if the Ukrainian military, with the full support of the West, and I'm not saying they have the full support, but Ukraine with the support of the West and being incapable to do this, it wouldn't look good. It wouldn't look good. I got to say that.
Fights are ongoing, and we are also offending, but the scale of the counteroffensive is yet unknown. Maybe it's just a try to check out the Russian resources. This morning I obtained information from one of our soldiers. He said that after the night armor strike, Russians were absolutely calm this morning, but later on the fighting started, and probably we're offending. He cannot clarify that information because it's basically classified. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Now the most heavy fights are happening in Chasiv Yar, not...
I mean, Davey, maybe technically, but is that how the normie is going to see it? And look, I know it's easy to disregard the normie, but I'm afraid they are in charge of the zeitgeist. HIMARS is US made? Yeah, I believe so.
Far away from Bakhmut, Russia tries to push Ukrainian forces, and we have some of the interesting image from the place. The Deep State military map published the information that Russians crossed the channel, so the river, in one of the places, which is really far away from the front lines, well, more than a kilometer for sure, and just a single Russian unit was spotted, their MTLB or something. How it was able to get there, I'm out of clue. And yes, it crossed the channel and continued its movement. Probably Russians just lost. You may see the word Russia written on the vehicle, and sorry I cannot show you all of the image. This vehicle was just ambushed by Ukraine, but it was done very late as for me, because it crossed 1 kilometer from the front line. I think they just...
Man, when you fuck up so bad, even your enemy is bamboozled. We don't need to put mines and stuff there. No one would be stupid enough to actually do that. I mean, when you bone it up so bad, dude. What are you doing? I don't know, man. I'm lost. I don't know, dude. Just don't kill me.
Is direct themselves and went to the Ukrainian controlled territory and were annihilated, if we may use this term. So just for you to understand the picture, this is Chasiv Yar. This is the actual front line. They moved from the place, crossing all of the Kalinovka village, crossing the channel, and only here they found their end. It also shows that all of that is mainly the gray area. There are no any forces, so Russians hesitate to go. Well, it was their mistake with a single vehicle,
Yikes.
but nevertheless, our forces are mostly presented over here.
So then the rest of this video is a bunch of, ancillary information. There was actually 2 Dennis videos I wanted to show. This one was, I believe, from yesterday or the day before, but then he also has a latest one. So I thought I would show, a couple minutes from that one. We'll show some reporting from Ukraine, then we'll move on, okay?
They are going non-stop. I mean, the Russian army still tries to reach more ground in the Kharkiv region. For today, they sent a new convoy. It was a reinforcement of their brigade on occupied territories, but it was hit. It was stopped even before reaching Ukrainian positions. There were some of the armored vehicles, small ones and bigger ones. We know that Russia tries
These were maneuvers that they were more likely to get away with when Ukraine was less equipped. So now that Ukraine has, enough to respond to this, these convoys are getting, I mean, it's every single day on the combat footage Reddit pages filled with these convoys getting, I mean, it's just disgusting. They'll have like 15 soldiers riding on it, and then the whole thing goes up, man. It's just disgusting. How do you, as a Russian soldier, how do you see that and think, well, that's not going to happen to me? I will never understand the nihilism of the Russian military, the willingness to just throw your entire life away on a maybe, like, well, it might work. Yeah, you could get lucky. I don't know. Give it a shot. Your life on a flight of fancy. Well, it's worth the shot for me. I'm not going to die. It's worth it for me. Yeah, okay, that's worth my life. Like, what kind of delusion, what kind of self-delusion do you have to be like telling yourself to be like, oh, I'm not me, I'm the one, I'm the ultimate survivor, I'm Rambo, I can survive all this. You cannot survive your vehicle blowing up from an anti-tank mine, and you're sitting on top of that. I don't care who you are, dude. Captain America, you're not surviving that shit. Well, he would, Captain America. Chris Evans, he's a hottie.
Send more reinforcements to the Kharkiv region.
No, it's not
they still have to go
death,
to take more ground,
pain.
at least Vovchan city.
It
was their first go, and after that they want to advance to other settlements, like, for example, Kupiansk from the north. One more Russian vehicle was damaged. You may see the Russian side on it, the northern group of the Russian army, which they concentrate in Kharkiv direction. I think that the vehicle is mostly intact, and Ukraine might have trophied it, but instead our guys finished the vehicle using the FPV drone, just not let Russia to evacuate it from the gray area. Ukraine is using tons of HIMARS to hit the Russian logistics in the place. Those photos allegedly were taken in the Kharkiv region, showing the scale of how Ukraine uses standard HIMARS shells. The approval from the United States for using the HIMARS is really a game changer for Ukrainian defenders.
So
but still, the standard generous HIMARS shells are unable to reach many of the Russian airfields in Belgorod Oblast. That's why Russian aviation is mostly free, loading those bombs just on their airplanes and later on launching them to target Ukrainian infrastructure, including Kharkiv, and moreover Ukrainian positions right at the battlefield. As you may see, they do not afraid to put those bombs right on the apron, so it's a perfect target for ATACMS. But for now, Ukraine still doesn't have the permission to use ATACMS missiles to target the Russian military airfields, unfortunately. Hello, my friends, and welcome. My name is...
Okay, weird. He does his intro 2 minutes in. He's trying to maybe get your attention right away. But no, folks, make sure you're liking and subscribing to Dennis. He's, he's a national treasure. He's doing what he can. He's been doing it since the start. And he's stayed incredibly consistent. So make sure you're liking and subscribing to your boy Dennis. All right, last Ukrainian video of the day. Let's go ahead and check out reporting from Ukraine here. See if they got a new one up yet. Nope, it's this one right here. So once again, just a little frontline analysis.
The most interesting updates come from the Vovchan. Today there are a lot of updates from the Kharkiv direction. The most interesting updates come from the Vovchansk area, where dynamics have shifted following the Ukrainian forces' successful halting of the Russian offensive. With their initiative dwindling, the Russians have devised a new plan focused on this town. They aim to penetrate the city from the northwest, cross the river and establish a bridgehead, enabling them to advance further south and secure control over Vovchansk entirely. However, previous Russian strikes against bridges across the river forced their assault units to move on foot across the river, sabotaging themselves and causing heavy losses. This approach has proven detrimental to the Russians, resulting in significant losses and hindering their progress.
Historic losses.
The Russians aim to prevent Ukrainian counteroffensives by eliminating potential staging grounds for such efforts, but the Ukrainian steadfast defense has proven to be a formidable obstacle. The town has numerous basements, houses and factories, providing ample space for accumulating and concealing sizable assault formations. This advantageous terrain favors the Ukrainians, who currently hold a 3-to-1 superiority in troops already engaged in assaults. However, if the Russians achieved a successful breakthrough in the south, they would not just disrupt, but completely dismantle all Ukrainian plans and lay the groundwork for the second stage of the Russian offensive. The main focus of Russian assaults will target the western sector of the town, particularly where they have advanced closely to the river. Several weeks ago, the Russians made significant progress in this part of the city, narrowly approaching the banks of the Vovcha River. Their plan now involves crossing the river to establish a foothold in the nearby aggregate plant. This plant, comprising the tallest and most heavily fortified buildings south of Vovchansk, is not just a strategic objective, but a crucial one for the Russian forces, as its capture would significantly...
That's the beachhead, right? So you cross that river, and then that's the staging ground for the, for the spread.
Enhance their offensive capabilities. Should the Russians succeed in capturing the aggregate plant, they would gain access to formidable firing positions and heavily fortified structures, allowing them to establish fire control and bolster their forces for further advances beyond the bridgehead. This tactical advantage would put the Ukrainians in the southern part of the town at a disadvantage, as their main residential area needed the defensive capabilities of the reinforced buildings. Consequently, they would be forced to shift to a defensive posture, abandoning any plans for a counteroffensive to the north. Moreover, continuing offensive operations from this point onward could potentially compel the Ukrainians to withdraw to positions in Byly-Kolodias. Lieutenant Colonel Nazar Voloshin, spokesperson for the Ukrainian Khortytsia group of forces, highlighted the intense bombardment of Vovchansk by Russian forces, utilizing TOS-2 thermobaric artillery systems. Both Russian and Ukrainian sources confirmed the continuous use of glide bomb strikes, targeting infrastructure within Vovchansk.
And I've seen footage of thermobarics being used in this area.
These actions are part of a deliberate effort to weaken defenses and pave the way for anticipated Russian assaults to the south.
Now, and apparently thermobarics are relevant because it requires a special kind of launcher, a really valuable launcher that Russia, has to put in danger, and that, up until recently, Ukraine hasn't been able to hit these launchers, but now that has changed.
The deployment of TOS-2 thermobaric systems is a significant development, considering that the Russians possess only a few dozen of these systems. This allocation underscores Russian prioritization of the Vovchansk area, indicating a high commitment to sustaining a prolonged offensive in the region.
They want this so bad.
Subsequently, the Russian forces opted to dispatch a reconnaissance unit across the river, presumably to assess the Ukrainian strength in the aftermath of the extensive shelling. It's worth highlighting that before this, the Russians deliberately destroyed the bridge in the vicinity to impede any Ukrainian attempts to reinforce their positions on the opposite side and consolidate their gains to the west of the town. Initially intended to weaken Ukrainian defenses to the northwest and facilitate quicker advances for the Russians, this tactic has now backfired, resulting in self-inflicted setbacks for the Russian forces. I'm sure you've heard about this on Breaking Points or The Hill, right? I'm sure they're reporting on the minutiae of this and not just blasting big headlines. Ukraine's about to lose, a front line dissolving, everyone should give up peace, where we love peace. Right, I'm sure that's what's going on over at the fucking Hill. Decision proved to be a double-edged sword for the Russians, limiting their ability to deploy anything more than small squads across the river under the cover of night. Moreover, the narrowness of the Russian bridgehead rendered it ill-suited for successful river-crossing operations. Consequently, the Russians had to establish a new bridgehead on the opposite side of the river using only infantry, who would need to provide cover.
So the fucking geniuses of Russian command there, they know full well that they're trying to create a beachhead across this. So they go ahead and blow up the bridge. Now, I know the Ukrainians might have blown it up, you know, had they not or whatever, but it's just like, you know, you'd think you'd want to try to hold on to that bridge knowing full well you're going to be trying to cross this river, but no. Well, we'll just Russian through it. We're Russian, so we can just do it. It's fine. We'll just make a bridge out of corpses, you know, and we'll just, you know, like lemmings and just fucking and then just roll right over us, boys.
At the same time, the main force worked to set up a pontoon crossing over the destroyed section of the bridge.
Yeah, so the
rationale behind selecting this particular
so they put how many dozens, you know, troops in danger building this pontoon bridge, you know, when you could have just tried to keep the bridge that was there intact.
Section for the assault across the river likely stems from its relatively narrow width, only around 20 meters.
Okay, I mean, that makes a little... Okay, if you're like, well, we're not going to use that bridge because we're going to do one that's even in a narrower spot, okay.
Furthermore,
doesn't seem that smart to me.
The vicinity surrounding the bridge is challenging as it is mainly open terrain.
All right.
It has a 200-meter gap separating north and south of Vovchansk.
Okay, so they don't want to fight there anyway, so the bridge... Okay. All right. Okay, so maybe it makes a little bit more sense.
Offering minimal cover for Russian troops, save for a few bushes.
I see.
Combat footage captured from the area depicted Ukrainian drone operators actively tracking down Russian soldiers, attempting to seek refuge beneath the damaged bridge in a desperate bid to evade detection. However, their efforts proved futile as Ukrainian FPV operators swiftly identified and neutralized them. This incident was just one among several unsuccessful Russian assaults along this stretch of the river.
So difficult.
In a video shared by Ukrainian fighters operating in the area, meticulous caution is evident as they navigate the southern outskirts of the town. Their movements are characterized by organization, utilizing available cover in houses and basements to shield themselves from the Russian artillery barrage aimed at suppressing them. Additionally, the Ukrainian fighters advanced in small, dispersed squads, maintaining a distance between each other to reduce the likelihood of being targeted by enemy drones. This demonstrates the familiarity of the Ukrainians with such assaults, given previous Russian attempts to establish a bridgehead in the same vicinity. If you want to get access to the original uncensored combat footage, you can find it on our Telegram channel by using the QR code or...
So I recently checked out the Telegram channel. It's totally legit. I do recommend you check it out. Link's in the description. So here, I'll give you the link to the video. So you got the Telegram link in the description. But yeah, he definitely delivers. He's got all the juicy clips.
The link in the description. Due to the significant casualties sustained during Russian operations across the river, their positions north of the river began to weaken. Sensing this vulnerability arising from a shortage of Russian troops, the Ukrainian forces stationed in the town center seized the opportunity to launch their assaults against Russian positions northwest of the town.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Analyzing combat footage, it's evident that Ukrainians moved with relative freedom amidst the residential houses, employing a combination of hand grenades and small arms fire to clear out the few remaining Russian soldiers who were so outnumbered that they were unable to mount a substantial defense.
Caught them, right? Caught them with their fucking pants down. Yep, they were waiting for reinforcements to hold these positions, and Ukraine didn't give them the chance.
The original uncensored video of this operation can be found on our Telegram channel as well. The situation in the Vovchansk area of the Kharkiv direction remains fluid and intricate.
Yeah.
After losing their initial momentum, the Russians attempted a new strategy to capture Vovchansk by establishing a foothold south of the town, circumventing the formidable Ukrainian defenses in the northern sector. However, the Russian river crossing operation proved unsuccessful, and Ukrainian forces capitalized on the high casualty rate among Russian troops to regain the initiative.
Historic.
Ukrainian assault units swiftly moved to eliminate the narrow Russian penetration area. Operations are ongoing, and with Ukraine's substantial troop presence, the Russian positions face significant threats from Ukrainian counterattacks.
Hell yeah. So, if you look at this map right here, it's kind of hard to see with this flag up here. The stupid flag. You try to treat my kids gay. this amazing flag that represents equality for everybody. But no, if you can see right here up in the top left, you see 01 June. I can't see my mouse. Sorry, let me see if I can fix that. Okay, there you go. So right up here, if you see, if you can see, it's not impossible for Ukraine to put a halt to this, and then slowly but surely put this disgusting dictator right back in his own territory. Not hard at all. You can see this is Russia right here. So power to the Ukrainian democracy. Why is there no white in the flag? Sovereignty, huh? Oh, you're back. After your little just asking questions, joining in, you see these two assholes talking defeatist nonsense. You decide to join in on the chorus, huh? Real adorable. All right, folks. Unfortunately, I've done too much bloviating about Ukraine. It was too important. We had to get into the details, had to get into the nuance, had to push back against the bad actors who want to equate peace with defeatism. Had to push back against that. So I do not have time for Gaza. And you're going to have to wait until next stream to learn about how the world's first tooth regrowing drug will be given to humans in September. So you're just going to have to wait until the next stream, probably in 2 days. Won't be tomorrow. It'll be the day after tomorrow if you're lucky. So sorry. Gotta go. Got a family. Oh, you got a family. Oh, yeah. What about the News Underground family? What about us? What about you? No, you guys are great. Like I said before, I'll say it again. This stream wouldn't be jack shit without you guys in the chat. Every single one of you: Borderline Feline, Ponder Monkey, Chem Goblin, Zeo Duke, Arbitoire, Davey, Woke Patriot. The Borderline Feline. Yep, gonna need it when you're 70. Exactly. No, of course, you guys. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments, holding me accountable, helping me keep my mind straight. I can't keep countries. I was taught in a U.S. public school. Old Growth Canopy, big props to you. Thank you for coming back. Who else we got in this motherfucker? Estonian. Sorry, I forgot to say hi to you, Estonian. Thank you so much for your comments. Estonian, ROB. Thank you, Rob, for coming back. ROB. Once again, big props to Woke Patriot, Crail of Xanath. Good to see you again, Crail of Xanath. Thank you for coming back. Ford the Perfect. Read Hitchhiker's Guide, okay? Everyone, if you haven't read Hitchhiker's Guide, stop what you're doing and read that book. Tukawa, thank you, Tukawa. Big props to you. Carl Toes over here holding it down. The Mac 10 and the ski mask. Better watch out, son. That's how the underground rolls. Ski mask and a Mac 10, right? Gaius over here. Big props to you, Gaius. Chess, thank you, Hunting Chess. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming back. Mr. Rumble, just in my entire package, man. Put the entire package where you know where. Mr. Rumble, Mr. I just give a shit about peace. You're a liar. Carrying water for a dictator. So big extra fat fuck you to Mr. Rumble. Let's not forget that 3-step program to create political change. Hey, if you want to help, you're like, oh, I'm in despair. I don't know what to do. How do I fix this? What can I do? I'm having a panic attack. Well, I have the solution for you. Step 1, inform yourself. You're here. You're doing step 1. Congratulations on achieving step 1. You are informing yourself. Step 2, put your name down. Sign up. Sign up to an organization that you believe in. Sign up to volunteer for a politician that you think is real progressive, is going to challenge the neoliberal establishment. Sign up for that march. Sign up to volunteer. Put your name down. Put your fucking name down and sign up. There's millions of them. Type that shit into Google. Step 3, put in the work like Charlie Kirk, motherfuckers. Welcome back, Clutch Cargo. And yeah, thank you for being here. It is the only thing that's ever worked, aka political activism. But no, you got to put in the work like Charlie Kirk. That's step 3. Every day and night, working until midnight, working on the weekends. Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson and all the rest. Nick Fuentes over here working overtime to destroy our democracy, and the only thing that's going to stop them is left-wing political activism. Antifa Antifa doesn't count. Antifa is not an organized. It's a bunch of anarchists that need to get their shit together, but it's not a real organized activist movement. Find something better than Antifa. Find something more legitimate. With some fucking structure. Put your money into that. Now, with that said, I actually agree with Antifa. I like Antifa. The only thing I disagree with Antifa on is their, the destruction of public property. I think it's incredibly counterproductive. But with that said, do I agree with anti-fascism? 100%. You bet I do. Fascism belongs in one place, and that's under my fucking boot. That's the only place where fascism belongs. Does fascism even deserve free speech? I don't think so. Been on the fence on that for a little while, but I think I'm off the fence. I think fascism does not deserve free speech. I think fascism is inherently violent. I think fascism inherently takes advantage of free speech, inherently takes advantage of weaknesses in democracy to subvert them and dissolve them and destroy them. So I hope you're ready to put in the fucking work like Charlie Kirk is. That's the only thing that's going to get us progressivism. That's the only thing that's going to get us out of this fascistic authoritarian nightmare. Exactly. There should be no tolerance for the intolerant. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. I'll see you next time. News Underground, bitch. Big props to every motherfucker in here. Thank you so much. News Underground, realest motherfucking news on planet Earth, realest motherfucking news on Twitch. Tell your local Bosch fan, tell your local Destiny fan that they can get some real motherfucking news at the News Underground, bitch. Hardest motherfucking news on Twitch.